Do you want to be a part of the CoCo community? Sure, we all do. So join this free weekly live talk show to find out how easy it is to watch at home and learn about your color computer. At the CoCoNation, more than 9 million men and women have participated in the community without setting foot outside their homes. And now at home in your spare time, you can see what's happening, or even join the discussion. Choose from any one of these segments: panel intros, project updates, acquisitions, CoCo thoughts, featured interviews and events, the Game On Challenge, news, Ron's Garage, CoCo commercials, show coverage, panel goodbyes, or you can join one of our extra shows. You can choose from the Game On Challenge Live or CoCo Tech. Join the CoCoNation right now.
Click the link for the free information TJB Chris spoke about. Then decide if you want to watch the CoCoNation Live Show, the world's leading live weekly talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer, its siblings, cousins, and red-headed stepchildren. Visit thecoconation.com. There is no obligation, and no salesman will visit you. Visit thecoconation.com.
The CoCoNation show is an unscripted, live, and interactive broadcast. Anything can and will happen. The views and opinions expressed by members of the panel and the live audience are their own, and not necessarily those of the CoCoNation show, its sponsors, affiliates, or subsidiaries. Open minds are encouraged, and a sense of humor is recommended. Thank you for being a part of the CoCoNation.
Radio Shack? Okay.
What?
The 80s called.
Welcome to the CoCoNation, the world's first live and interactive talk show featuring the Tandy color computer and its hardware cousins.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the CoCoNation Show, episode 404, which is living up to its number. So we've already had 2 computer failures. One managed to be convinced to come back up. Actually, yeah, there it is. And then, as a result, we have no Curtis today. He's on a backup computer, which can't handle even Zoom.
That's a backup.
Yeah, that's a backup.
That's way back.
Retro. He's back on his CoCo.
Right.
Doesn't want to run Zoom. Let's see. In the panel today, we got Brown Deluxe.
It's actually premium, but I'll go for the deluxe.
All right.
Welcome.
And yours truly, the button pusher. And we're 2 minutes late because I couldn't find the right buttons to push. And next over, Alan, Exile in Paradise.
Howdy, everyone.
And we got MarkO.
Hey there, glad to be here today.
Hey, next one we got Henry Gernhard.
Hi, folks. Welcome to the CoCoNation. My name's Henry, and today I'm feeling a little bit tired.
And Henry Strickland.
Hello, world. We've got the Henrys in alphabetical order here today.
Awesome.
And yay, that's something I gotta do for next week. Put everybody in alphabetical order. Okay, next over, George Phillips.
Hello.
George.
And Bob Emery.
Greetings, everybody. Greetings and computations.
Okay, then we'll do a line feed and a Reese and a character turn. Ken Waters.
Hello, everybody. My cat is staring at me through the window right there.
Yeah, I got 3 asleep here, so count your blessings.
I think she wants in. She's out on the porch.
Well, if you don't,
through the grass.
No, the screen's the first to go. All right, Rick Euland.
Yes, I'm much ahead of where I should be, being a Euland.
And Kevin Holloway.
Hello, everybody.
And semi-absentee Waynut.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm out here fishing, but I'm still here.
You better show us that picture.
Yeah, show us the fish.
On sound.
Fish or it didn't happen.
That's right.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You got one.
Carp.
Hey, Mark, we've got issues on sound.
Bottom side.
Are we?
Yeah.
Yep.
What kind of issues?
Sonotube sound, alien sound.
Yeah, we've got like reverberation, metallic.
Oh, you just gave our earlier thing to everyone else. Great.
What about, okay, so David, what if I start saying, exterminate, exterminate, exterminate?
Okay. Well, you guys
People
talk
sound
among
like
yourselves, and I'll
silence.
see if I can figure this out.
Figure out what the heck's going on. You'll have to listen to
60 said the intro
your
ran fine, so it's got to be something to do with Zoom.
Quite honestly, it's because we're actually been taken over by our AI overlords, and none of us are real.
Can we change the show number to 405?
Right, that'll fix it.
Well, they're right. It does sound pretty weird. Let me see if I can figure out where the loopback's coming from.
Please stand by.
Yeah, let's all be completely quiet so he can't tell if there's anything getting better or not.
Well, I tell you what. Why don't you guys? Why don't we move on to the next one? See, we got project updates, right? So why don't we switch over to project updates? Let's see. Alan, you were first.
Well, I'll give it a try. Acquisition. An updated version of the M8 Motorino single board computer game board add-on. So this is a 9918 video chip, a PIA, and a sound chip from Philips, and a joystick port. And it's been updated and relayed out, and is quite a bit easier to program for sound and joystick than the previous version. So that's what I'm working on.
And this is a cartridge for the CoCo? Or a single board computer?
Yet, I keep trying to convince him to it. No, this is, it's actually got a separate board underneath. So this is the SST.
Okay, let's try that. That should have the sound back. Let's see if it's any better.
Test 3, 4, 9, 7, 12, etc.
Got a no sound feedback. Audio gone. Robot went away.
Are we back?
No sound yet? Hello?
You should be, because it decided to mute itself a bit ago, and now I've unmuted.
Ring modulator's still there. It's still doing a ring modulator.
This is show 404. Don't forget. There we go. There we go.
Okay.
No, not found.
Curtis,
We can turn
come
this
back,
into
Curtis. Please, Curtis, come back.
into an electronic music album somehow or something.
Have you checked to make sure that there's not some kind of patch on some kind of filter on the audio and on the audio capture in OBS? Because that really does sound like a ring modulator.
You run any filters?
I got your ring
check.
modulator right here.
All right, it's gone.
Cool.
Good thing we got sonic screwdrivers on this.
Right. Maybe too many of them.
Mention reports it went away. I don't know what it sounds like at the moment, though.
What's this button for?
Okay, I found it.
What'd you do?
What was it?
For whatever reason, under system sound, the audio monitoring got turned on.
Oh, okay.
And so that was creating a very short loop back.
Thanks,
Right.
Windows.
Digital delay.
Windows 11.
Just
helping you out every day.
New
Windows
audio
11
system.
features you didn't know you had.
randomly turning stuff on.
Yep. They'll turn it back off too, so watch out.
Yeah. And amazing. In 10 minutes, we've already gotten 100 messages in the text.
Nice. Well, engagement.
Yeah.
We should have problems every week.
Checks are in the mail.
We do, actually.
Checks are in the mail.
Yep.
Okay,
right.
since I was paying attention to this, how far did we get?
Alan's in mid
Most of the way through
SBC.
Alan's,
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are
and
cool.
And at some point, we can do an intro to the chat, which we haven't done yet.
You might as well do that now.
Hey, do you have links for that,
Chat
Alan?
what my update was.
Are they in the news?
Oh, okay. I like it. An SBC that actually does things.
And you can do it again, and this time I'll actually zoom you up so everyone can see it.
Oh, I got to do it again? Okay.
Yeah.
So reversal went
You
that way.
got to do the two ways too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So hang on a sec. I gotta do
You
the
got to
intro
find
on
the
chat.
button.
Oh, okay, fine. We'll do that. All right, there we go. Now you're spotlighted.
Oh, good gravy. I'm huge. It's terrible. Okay.
Turn it off. Turn it off.
It's not really focusing. Thanks, camera.
You seem to be lacking in some sockets.
No.
RAM
This
never
is how
goes
it comes.
bad. Oh,
No, this is all good. So the M8 Motorino game board. This is the new version that Ken Wilmot has put together, giving it a test and working on some demo code for it. It's a hat for the SST6809 board underneath. We got joystick port, composite, sound, all kinds of good stuff. The update in the new version has a 6821 PIA for interfacing to the bus now. And this is the M8 Motorino M8 bus, which is available on Ken's GitHub as well. I posted the link in the chat. So this is my acquisition to write code for.
Do you have a full PC case for that?
This is the case, Air. So I can interface to all the little jumpers and wiring points and little battery holder under here for the RAM. So
Well, you can turn it upside down to keep the dust out. So that's
Hey,
enough.
Alan? So Ken Wilmont is on the chat. He says the game board can work with the MC10 with an adapter board.
that was one of the things we were talking about. I don't know if he's gotten the adapter board done yet, but he was thinking about it.
He also said no sockets because my supply chain choked. Another 404.
Welcome to the jungle, baby.
Yep.
Here I thought you soldered that whole thing by yourself.
That would be sort of like Curtis soldering the whole thing by himself.
Yeah. You send it to Curtis.
I'll buy tickets to that.
I would
It'd
too.
be fun. Yeah.
So new CoCoFest idea. Soldering championship with the worst soldering people available. Let's see who sets their hair on fire first.
Right.
I got a shot at that one.
Soldering by programmers.
Soldering tattoos.
Right. And then you could ask me to program some, and we'll see how that goes.
And do you get bonus points for number of fingers burned?
Sure, we can go with that.
And even more points if you lose them.
If you burn through a nail, you get extra 10 points.
Right.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Scroll. Okay. In the chat today, we had Julian Brown, Michael Zwiffel, Wayne Campbell, Kevin Holloway, MarkO, Mark Collins, Wayne 60, Daddy Burrito, and a hit and run from OG Stevie Stroh.
Hit and run.
There and gone.
That's right. Let's see, the break key. And now I got to remember all the people that I've already mentioned. TJB Chris. This is where I get an overflow error. Mark Siegel. Tom Eric Gunderson. Kenneth Wilmot. Or Ken Wilmot. Brian Walsh. J.E. Jones. 3141. David Lord. William Mathing. Jim Rye. Tim Franklin. L. Curtis Boyle. And I think now we're in the repeats. Okay, I'm going to give this up for now. Moving on.
I think you got most of them. There were a bunch today.
Ken Wilmot. Don't think that's a new one.
Yeah, it's the guy who made the board that showing up.
All right, so Alan's done his. MarkO, you're up next.
Am I up next? Okay. Well, two things. Number one, I just want to remind people this is the end of our 8th season of CoCo Talk, the CoCoNation. And I really wanted to go through and put a spotlight on the various contributors over the last couple of years, all the things that have been brought out, but I haven't done all my research yet. But I'll do that here, maybe not next week, since I'm planning on going to the Seattle Retro Meet, maybe the week after. But anyway, but I do have some other news. Sheldon McDonald, who a lot of you are familiar with, he made Treasure Island Defense and working on a hockey game also from Canada. He contacted me last night on Discord and dropped me a couple things he's working on. So he and Brendon Donahue are going to introduce a setting card, looks like, for the CoCo. And it's going to be really interesting. Alan is going to get a real kick out of this. Let me find my file viewer here. I'm also trying to get Curtis set up here so he can send me a file. Where is my file viewer?
Take your time and show 404.
Yeah. Thanks. Ron, you're not going to be on my Christmas card list this year. Okay, there's my folder. Okay, so let me pull this up with Image Viewer and share this window. Let's see if it. Okay, well, that'll work. Let's see here if I can share something. Share, there we go. My system's really lagging at the moment.
That's
Find my window here.
We're trying to look and see what you got on the table over there.
Right, his input desk is full.
That's the kitchen table, actually.
Your mind wanders after a while.
Okay, you see my window here I have shared?
Yeah.
Oh, there's more stuff to put in your multi-pack.
Yeah, you like the looks of that?
Looks like
Okay,
it
and I
could
don't-
make sparks.
Looks analog, yeah. What's
I
going
don't
on?
know where my window went. Well, here's another picture of it. There's two of them there. You gonna blow up with that, Mark B?
Nice.
It's as blown up as I can make it.
Yeah, it's a tall, skinny thing.
Yeah, well,
It is.
it's been a long time coming, but I've been wondering for a while if that was actually going to happen, and there it is.
It is not completely done.
Oh, this is
but
a
I
SID
have
chip
video.
emulator.
It's an XSID, yep. So it's
And-
a Commodore XSID on a card.
In the CoCo.
Two of them in the CoCo.
For a CoCo.
Oh,
Yeah.
so you're doing the whole SID to SID thing on the CoCo then?
Well, he's doing two SIDs on the CoCo. So let me pull up my VLC player here and play you a little video.
It should work well with the real processor.
How
So it looks
do you-
like two audio plugs on each card. That's going to be 4 channels there.
Well, SID does 3. And he said 6, basically.
Yeah, but it looks like left and right stereo on each card, or is that a different
I don't know
plug in
specs
the
on
middle?
XSID.
No.
I don't know. The SID itself only has mono, but I don't know. Maybe they're doing something.
Oh, okay. So
Right.
one is left and one is right then.
That could be.
There you
yeah.
go. Yeah.
Okay.
He said 6 channels over 2 cards. So Brendon Donahue is doing the
Okay.
card. He did the design, and they're still working on it. But like I said, I do have a short video to play also. Okay, let me see how I cancel my sharing and share another window. Go.
Oh, that worked.
Okay, where is my VLC player? I obviously have too many things open at one time.
I like your extra animated calendar to the left of your regular calendar. Worked out well. Get going, Mark B.
I'm sorry, what's
Okay.
that?
Let's try this.
You staged a nice presentation there.
Do you see a close-up of a multi-pack with a proto board
Yes.
on top?
Yep.
Yep.
Excellent. And I guess I should rewind this, I think. Yeah. This is,
Yeah, things play while you aren't paying attention to them.
Okay, oops,
very
you know,
good.
I don't know if I shared sound here. I probably didn't, and I think it doesn't do it automatically. Okay, let me kill this and make sure I share with sound, because you want to hear it play.
Probably the point of it, right?
Yeah, that's the point of it. Okay, I'm gonna find the stupid window again. There it is. Okay, share with sound. There we go. And do I have some sound option? Mono, stereo, higher fidelity. We'll do that even though. And optimize for video sharing, sure. Okay, we ready to play this fine music? I have it down to about 50%. So if it's not loud enough, please tell me. Here we go. Hit the play button. Loud enough?
That's good.
Yeah.
All right.
I always have a pleasant feeling for SID music, so I'm loving it.
Can confirm stereo and 3 channels per ear.
Yep. Oh my. Now that's interesting. He just did a pan effect.
Okay, that's all there was. Okay.
For now.
So,
Yeah, right.
work in progress. He said he wasn't ready to come on and show it, but he got permission from Brendon for me to show you this little clip, a little teaser. You know, the media power we have here on this program. So this is in the works, and you see there's obviously working stuff. So it's going to be a thing.
Nice.
Anyway, thank you, Sheldon McDonald and Brendon Donaghy, and that's all I have for now.
Okay. Let's see. I'm sorry, distracted. I found her. Let me show you. Let's see if I can take care of this. There we go. Hey, I found her. Why am I not sharing anything? There he is.
I don't know. It says you started.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I need to add that to our rotation.
I very, very much want to make a soldering iron that you can actually use like that.
But
just to pull it out at a show or something and start soldering away.
That'll be great.
Just to mess with people.
It's an AI picture, huh?
No, it's like Shutterstock.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've seen it in like I was looking for a magnified lamp, and that's one of the examples of how you use the lamp.
Another reason why we don't have smell-o-vision.
That's right.
Right. Yeah, it smells like pork.
Or chicken.
Oh, let's see. Next up, we got Henry.
Which one?
Strickland.
Okay.
You.
Hey, folks. I'll talk about two projects. One just very briefly. The card that I've made with the idea of being a cheap way to get the CoCo on the internet. This is called the CoPico Bonobo. I've now got all the PIOs, all the programmable IOs written and working, and I borrowed some code from the FujiNet projects. Thank you, Henry Gernhardt and FujiNet people. That got me up and going with the DMA, but I got the DMA going yesterday.
Nice.
So now I just need to integrate. I've like tested each of the pieces individually, and so in this next week I should get it all integrated. And if you've got a pre-release of the board, I hope to get you some firmware soon.
Excellent. Some basic instructions how to program it.
Yeah.
I assume it works through a USB cable to the little connector on the.
That's right.
2040.
Yeah. The whole idea is that you've got a USB tether right here.
Mm-hmm.
This is a USB micro going to your
modern computer,
your modern computer, your laptop or something. And it's actually kind of nice that I can push off the whole problem of connecting to the internet, getting your Wi-Fi password and all of that off.
You do all that stuff, would you?
And not have to rewrite it for the card. And okay, and that brings me into next. My operating system called NiKot. It will use a server on the internet that your PC connects to, called the MCP, and the MCP will deliver the programs and codes and things that you're gonna run. And I can move my laptop now and give you a demo of the latest I've got going.
Game of life
with NiKot. So in NiKot, the applications that you run, or the processes that you run, are all called games. That's just our terminology to emphasize that I want it to be a gaming OS. And my big goal is that we can play multi-user live real-time games on our CoCos at CoCoFEST. So bring a CoCo 1 or a CoCo 2 or a CoCo 3, anything with at least 16K of ROM, to CoCoFEST and join in with us. If I hit break, it goes back into the, well, let's call it the shell for now. I want the shell to be an ongoing chat as well of everybody else that's connected, so you can find people. But then I can hit break again, and that life has been playing while I was looking at the shell. It lets you go into the shell and say, hey, where did everybody go? Or ask questions while you're still involved in a game. But also, if I get back to the shell, I can start something else. Like, actually, here's a fourth interpreter. Don't know if this is close enough to see very well, but let's see, 5, 7 multiply print. It's 35, and I can define square to be duplicate and multiply, semicolon ends the definition. So let's say a 55 square print 3025. I found just the beginnings of a fourth by Mitch Bradley on the GitHub, and so I'm using that. And I think I showed you red, blue, and green last week. I don't remember if they were chaining to each other. So here's a game called red, and this is all it does, but it chains to one called green, and this is all it does. But then it chains to one called blue. And the idea of chaining from one game to another is that these could be multiple stages in a game where you get to load in whole new code in order to reuse your 16K of RAM.
So you've created a situation where you can write your cheat engine in fourth to run on NiKot with the game. I like it.
Yeah. You have the nuclear codes? Looks like it.
Yeah, well, we'll have to do thermonuclear war.
Yeah.
At CoCoFEST. And while I've got the floor, I'm going to take another couple of minutes. I'm going to share an application window. And this is where you type share before you choose which application window it is. Is that right? You were screen sharing.
We have studio code. What we got?
Yeah, okay. I thought I was going to get to choose which screen to share, but that one will do.
Are you showing us that you're going to support those SID cards already?
Do you see? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Do you see memory layout?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna show you kind of how I've divvied up 16K of RAM. I definitely see in the future a 32K version that can work on CoCo 2s and 3s, and a CoCo 3 version only as well. But I wanted to start off where almost any CoCo in the world could play along, and so anything with 16K should be able to work. My memory layout at 0 is the kernel's block storage. That's what the C compiler calls variables that are not initialized. They're initialized to 0. And so the kernel gets 128 direct page variables, and then the game gets 128 direct page bytes of variables. Then there's one page for stack at 100 hex. And this is all shared between the user and the kernel and the interrupts. And that's working out just fine. At 200 hex, there's 512 bytes for the console. And that's where the shell is, where you launch commands or where you're chatting with people. And at 400, I reserve one more page, and this has got 4 64-byte chunks so that when packets are received in the middle of something, the kernel has a place to write those packets before handing it off to the user code. Next comes the kernel, the non-setup part at 500, and then up around 1000 hex, which is okay, I'm going to stop trying to do math in my head. This is about 4K. It's about 4K into the memory space. is where the kernel non-setup code ends, and then there was some setup code that is run once but thrown away so that the games can load in at that position because you don't need that setup code anymore. And the games are also divided into a game loop and the game setup so that you can throw away the setup code once it's run and have more free memory. So the game loop comes there when it's loaded a game in. And then there's a section of free memory. And finally, games can declare screens, which are frame buffers for either text or graphics, and they can define common regions. And these regions will persist if you chain to the next game and they define the same region, they'll see the same data there. So you can pass the state of the world from one stage of your game to another. And the final thing, I won't go into detail. We'll do this some other week. The final thing, you can get the GitHub name from the URL up there. I've got the API.
I'll post it also.
Pretty much nailed it down. You write your code with a setup function and a loop function like you would in an Arduino sketch. And that way I can throw the set away code away once it's done and give you more RAM.
Or RAM.
Yeah. So your games really are getting like 11 or 12K of RAM to work with, but that counts their frame buffers as well. So if you have like a 3K frame buffer for graphic screens, that's in there. There's some fundamental definitions. And then here's the macros for defining screens. And these are actually pre-processed. So this is not a runtime call you make. It's kind of a declaration. But we're declaring a screen named T that's only 2 pages long, so that's appropriate for a text screen. And here's a screen named G that's 12 pages long, so that would work in a P mode 1 graphics, which I think is going to be probably a favorite graphics mode among us. And then here's a couple regions that could get kept from one game to the next, as long as they declare them in exactly the same order and with the same types. So that's a way to get data shuttled when you chain to a new game phase. The 64K chunks that I talked about, there's an alloc and free for that. Let's see, I think I said I wasn't going to go into details here, but you can take a look at this and I'll talk you through it in the context of a demo game maybe next week. How's that for being enough for now?
Let's start our first controversy. If someone wrote a single player game, is it online only or can they just play?
They can just play.
I'm just wondering, you know, it's
no.
It's funny, but yet serious. If you use your OS to write a game, you don't necessarily need a network card just to run the game that you've written.
No. You're absolutely right. This could NiKot could be launched from the CoCo STC. It could be loaded.
Work up your stuff there. Yeah.
Loaded from other ways. Yeah.
Cool.
The network calls actually, there's only like 5 of them. There's send this packet now. There's how much data have you received, which is so you can ask if I received enough that I actually want to stop and process it, or would it be incomplete, and to receive it. And those 3 questions really are all the networking that you get as a game. There's more stuff, of course, going on inside the kernel there.
Hey, Henry,
Yeah.
are you going to make the chat API available inside the games so you could have in-game chat instead of have to jump back out to the console, essentially?
Yeah, that could easily happen. I haven't planned it, but that could easily happen. Yeah.
Seems like it'd be nice to do. So have a little window in your game so you could have in-game chat.
Yes,
David
yeah.
Lord asked, local and network or network only, MCP?
Well, you should be able to run it in multiple ways. And you don't have to have the Bonobo card. If you have, right now it's running with Rick's Ethernet card, and I want it to work with Fujinet hardware as well.
Right.
So do you have to be tethered to a PC? You could run the MCP on your PC, and it could deliver you the games and things. And
so you're running
as
a local
well
server
as
then.
using it from the global internet, or we can set up an MCP at CoCoFEST so that you've got a faster local access to one in the LAN. Yeah, this stuff is pretty easy to reconfigure and adjust and even fake things. So yeah, we'll look into all of that. My primary thing right now is that there can be one MCP that people connect to and can chat and play multi-user games by CoCoFEST.
Okay, that's a goal. Any further questions from the audience or the panel?
So you could have a news server like set up like Fujinet has.
Yes.
Yep.
Theoretically, you could have a game which is the International Space Station,
and that can ask for other kinds of news.
Yeah, and
down the
so
road.
a game can also be a clock display that just shows you the time, or
Right.
I don't have the API for fetching resources on the internet or for storing and saving files yet. That's not part of my first round, but that should be there. And if you've got that, if you've got the ability to read and save files across the network onto the MCP somewhere, you could write a game which is a news service or a BBS, something in addition to the built-in chat.
Now, back in the early 2000s, do you remember Star TTY? Did you ever do that at all?
No.
There was like a news service, and it had screen was split up. It had the time. It was pretty neat to log into, through the modem.
If we got the code,
you could do it, right?
Yeah, I mean, if we just intercept the modem calls and reverse engineer their protocols and things, I could imagine adapting things to. I've never looked at Plato by the way to see what its protocols look like, but I'm definitely kind of going in that direction, don't you think?
Yeah, you should get an account on Arada.
Yeah. Oh, let me show you one more.
Hey, Henry, another question from David Ward. He asked, is it network UDP or TCP?
This is TCP connection to the MCP. It could be a layer that you replaced if you had a good reason to, but there's one nice benefit of using TCP instead of UDP like I did a year ago, and that is that when a game is pushing changes that it's in charge of up to the server, and the server sends these changes back down to everybody else that's in the game shard, you all see them come down in the same order, and you can count on that if we've got TCP, and that simplifies
synchronization,
some of the voting protocols away or something.
Right.
Oh,
I remember back in the day they used to say TCP would never work on the CoCo, and it doesn't really. It's done ahead, right?
Well, it's awfully close.
Yeah, so this TCP is happening on the
Somewhere
tethered
else.
PC.
Right.
If you're using Bonobo, if you're using Rick's card, it's happening inside the WizNet chip. So, but it could be native.
It's I mean, my card is like a sound chip, but Ethernet. It doesn't really do anything smart. It just makes Ethernet, and the CoCo has to do all of the thinking. I'm sorry.
I'm sure Brett could get us up and going with a TCP stack, and there exist minimalist implementations of TCP. They were written 20 or 30 years ago that were designed
for
JimB microcontrollers back then.
I think JimB did a recent.
So JimB's C64 NIC Plus and CoCo NIC both use the 89 Crystal Semiconductor 8900A, which you have to write your own TCP stack on the CoCo or whatever device it is.
Yeah, and
So-
we've got a steady 60 hertz interrupt to keep the TCP retries and things working in the background while the game is going on in the foreground. So yeah, that's entirely possible, I think.
But there's not really much reason to. I mean, if you have the hardware to take that burden off, that frees up more resources. To
Right,
CoCo to
you get
do
more for your
CoCo things.
CoCo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It means you
And-
do more
and
complex games.
outside of playing the game, and I want the game to be pure in the sense that all the game logic is happening on the CoCos. The ones I've been writing are all peer-to-peer. You could also imagine that one CoCo is going to be the game server and is going to do stuff for the other CoCos. You could do it that way. But when it's not in a game, I'm pushing stuff to the MCP, and that's to clear up as much RAM on a 16K CoCo as we can for the games.
Cool.
Oh, now I realize I've got one more thing to show you over here. One more demo that I should have done earlier, and it's the Space War, and it's not entirely working, but you might be able to see that there's a rocket ship there, and I can turn it and shoot another bullet. And this is the essence of what was going on, although we've got some bugs here, of what we were doing last year at CoCoFEST, is we would have 4 of these rocket ships on the screen at a time, and 4 of them running. So I'm starting to get the Space War game back up and going there.
Nice.
So you do have the nuclear codes.
I do, yeah. It's okay. They're encrypted with CRC.
There you go.
That's it for me, I think.
That was good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you,
fun.
people.
All righty. Let's see. Rick. Last but not least, we got Rick.
Sure, I'm in here. I think there's someone behind me, but anyway, I'm drawing my traditional map, and you'll note there are only 2 tables left. And you better get your spots, folks. Otherwise, you might not get to hang out in the big room with all of us adults, and you'll have to go on the side room there. Anyway, by the end of the show, perhaps. Oh, come on. Change your thing. Oh, you're just going to mess with me. Okay. We'll do it that way. So this is available if you really feel Dvorak-y and you have a melty CoCo with the metal back on your keyboard. I have them listed now. I will by the end of the show, depending on how long Mark takes to read the muse. But that's okay. Oh, man, I won't get it done then. But okay, shortly after the show, since Mark has the news and Curtis isn't here.
So are you making a limited edition so it'll be a collector's item down the road?
Well, sure, because I only made the 5 and I probably won't sell them. So how many CoCo 2 Dvoraks really need to be made? But in any case, they're out there. And then let's see what else is going on here.
Are they under $100?
Oh, it's the same old, what is it, $45 for a key fix, but you have to have your own keyboard, and it's kind of a rare keyboard. So it's, it's a specialty part. The regular CoCo keyboards, all the keys are different heights, so you can't move them into different rows. And because you can't move them into different rows, you can't really make a Dvorak layout in it. And then I discovered something this week that people may not know. If you have a controller or a mouse or a Ouya or whatever that has that fake rubber plastic that's turning back into oil again, if you soak it in this stuff and you don't just wipe it down liberally about 3 coats in a row and don't take it off, you can let go of it again.
Oh.
The sticky's all gone.
Interesting.
Nice.
I haven't heard that anywhere, but it works for me. I've done 2 or 3 different things, and it's turned it back into the sort of semi-rubber hard plastic. It's not as soft as it used to be, but it sure ain't sticky. So,
well, that's what I need to do with my mouse then.
Yeah, I just accidentally, I wanted to clean it and I didn't get to, I smeared the alcohol on and then I didn't scrub it all off and it
I
soaked
tried
in and
the baby powder fix, but that was messy.
yeah, no, this seems to be pretty, just slather it with methylated spirits or, 91% APA wherever you live. And that seems to, it's not sticky anymore. So I'm going to use this mouse instead of throw it away. I tried a couple of different things, a tripod and a Logitech, some game controller, and it fixed all of them. So it's not guaranteed, but it works often. And that's all I've got, really. Need to solder more stuff. CoCoFEST is coming.
Okay, where's my mouse? Hang on, my mouse is misbehaving.
Oh, man, the button guy lost his buttons.
Oh.
Now what do we do?
Hang on, I think the battery just died on my mouse.
Oh, man.
There it is.
Uh-oh.
It came
Didn't you
back.
check that before we started?
It came back. Okay. Well, that's it for project updates. Let's go ahead and do a commercial break and go into game on, or do we have anything else we need to go over?
No, it's 4:04, so.
Gather that's a no. All
Well,
right.
Ken's still here, so let's get into game on before he leaves us.
Hey, Amy. Hey, Taylor. We're watching the CoCoNation show. Yeah, we are. Woo! You should too.
Hello everyone, it's your good buddy, your good pal Amigo, and joined by that dastardly The Brent from ARG Presents.
You're watching CoCoNation.
I feel like that should have been longer.
The CoCoNation show would like to thank the following patrons. AC's 8-Bit Zone, Alex Gayer, Alan Huffman, Brendan Donahue, Brian Walsh, Brian Weasler, Kieran Ascom, Coconut Bob, Daddy Burrito, David Ladd, Derek Smithson, Diego BF109, Don Barber, Eric Canales, Frederick Sigard, Glenn Hewlett, Graham Wabke, Grant Leedy, Henry Gernhardt, Henry Strickland, Jason Warrens, Jim Mullis, Jeffrey Drywater, Justin Larson, Ken Reichard, Patrick Euland, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, R. Allen Murphy, Retro Tech Time, Richard Harding, Rob Inman, Rocky Hill, Steve Batson, TJB Chris, Tom C., Tom Gunderson, Tom S., and William Athing. Thank you so much, patrons. If you would like to support the CoCoNation show, sign up at patreon.thecoconation.com.
Welcome to everybody's favorite segment, Who's New to Discord?
Adam G says, hello all. My first computer was a CoCo 2 and so began my future career with computers. Over the last decade or so, I have purchased CoCo 2 and CoCo 3 machines on eBay, back when the prices were much lower. Now looking to dabble a bit more in the CoCo world over the next couple of years, so this Discord channel seems like it is probably the place to be. The previous bios were edited for time. Thanks to Frederick Micro Hobbyist Sigard, Glenside Computer Club, Paul Fiscarelli, Paul Shoemaker, Tandy Color Computer 3, and the CoCoNation patrons for boosting the server. Please consider joining Discord and visiting the welcome section to read these bios in full and see what the community has to offer. Just go to discord.thecoconation.com.
See you on Discord.
everybody to the CoCoNation Game On Challenge of the Week results video. This week we played Blitz. We had a total of 17 players. We had MarkO with 3225, Kieran 3300, Ed Rhodes 4125, Mr. Dave 6309 4275, Jim Rye 5925, Mark B 7275, Coconut Bob 8175, Canadian Retro Things 8400, Frederick 11700, 8 Bits in the Basement 13,275, Shenley 14,625, L. Curtis Boyle 15,075, Dr. Ted 16,875, Sloopy Malibu 25,200, Mike Zwiffle 27,075, Tasman 32,400, and this week's number one score belongs to George Phillips with 44,625. Thanks everybody that played. We'll see you again next week.
And the CoCoNation salutes George Phillips.
Salute!
And
And
that's
of course,
like your
George is here with us today, and he is actually the author of this game, which it's a rarity that an author is actually good at his own game. So,
Right.
Just
How
ask
did
Nick.
that happen?
So we'll get to talking to George in a second. I just wanted to show actually here, if I can find it. There we go. Rainbow, June 1988. And here is, if you want to, and you want to put yourself through it, you can type this game in. So if you go through the beginning part, there's actually 3 listings here. There's listing 1, which is all the data statements. Listing 2 pokes in the shapes. Listing 3 pokes in a little machine language routine to move Blitz to the proper place in the memory and saves it to disk or tape. So just so you know, also there's some hints in here that we can talk about later about like do not waste too much time trying to shoot the bombs. The bombs are aimed when the planes come onto the screen, so if you move after they're dropped, they won't like track you or anything. And you could also create a cloud above you to create kind of a shield.
And it has rainbow checks, so there will be no problem typing in all these data statements whatsoever.
Yep. So here's the listing for the first game.
Yep, seems easy.
Yep.
Yep, not a problem yet.
Nope. Perfect. Simple. And then listing 2 is a bit shorter, sort of. And then listing 3 just for saving the game. So, yeah, if you want to, put yourself through typing that in, just go grab the June 1988 issue of Rainbow off the archive, and you two
just
can
gave them the
spend-
whole listing. They could just type it from the show.
Yeah, there you go. Or just really quickly type it in as I was scrolling it. So now, of course, Curtis is not here, so I guess we'll have to talk to George. I'm not sure what Curtis was all going to be asking him because I have no list of his questions or anything. But first off, George, some people may know you from the TRS-80 community because of the emulator you made, right?
That's right. My brother and I wrote TRS-80 GP, which is it covers all the original Model 1, 3, 4 line and the business line of computers, the Model 2 and 12, 16, 6000. It also does CoCo 1 and 2 emulation and MC10. So just sort of continually adding new Radio Shack computers to it. Want to cover the whole shack one day.
Okay, so you didn't really write a lot of games, right? You were mostly into the more productive side of programming, or
oh, I mean, we did lots of little programs on our Model 3 and our CoCo, and I did a lot of little sort of experiments writing small fragments of games. And so Blitz was somewhat unique in that we sort of sat down and decided that we should try and produce an actual finished game and, send it off to Rainbow. And so if I recall correctly, I think that was in the summer of 1984 that I did that and sent it off, and a few months later got a rejection letter. So left it at that for a while, and then some years later it seemed like, and I can't remember how long, but they actually came back and said, "Oh, hey, we're willing to publish this." So I wrote up the article for it and sent that off. Probably in the summer of '87. I can't quite remember. Back in the days, I didn't have a word processor, so I actually wrote a basic program with data statements so I could run that and print off the actual article.
So did you do the traditional print it 5 times so it looks good and sharp because you ran over the same?
No, I just did one pass on it. And, I might have sent them the actual electronic copy of it. I don't remember.
Yeah, that's what I did. I printed it 4 times. It's not a dot matrix. Look, it's nice and crisp and solid. Believe me, I'm really a programmer here.
As a pinch punch a hole through the paper.
Yeah. Curtis wants to know if you remember how much you got paid for this.
Oh,
There's
I didn't.
A question.
I didn't. I don't know if they paid for Rainbow submissions, but they didn't pay me. Or if they did, it was like $50, but I don't think I did.
Right.
So, okay, now, so with the game, I mentioned a few of the tips and tricks there that you had published in the article, but being that this is, I'm not going to do math in my head, but many years later, have you figured out other little idiosyncrasies in the game that help with playing it, or?
I can't think I have a whole lot more to add. Essentially, once the game gets beyond a certain level, it's almost impossible to play. Your tank can't get out of the way fast enough, and the planes start to come in faster. So there's in the earlier levels, like where we started the game on challenge at level 3, your tank can somehow outpace the planes. So if a plane is coming in, you can just simply run away from it so you can get a sort of clear shot at it. But once they start going double speed, there's no way. There's probably one tip I can think of, because when I was playing the game, I noticed there's a little sort of weird bug in the game setup. It turns out in the game, when the level select ends up sort of looking up into a table, and that decides sort of what flavor of planes are going to come out. So at level 0, the planes come out and they don't bomb or anything like that. And then you start to get ones that drop 1 bomb at a time, and then ones that drop 5 in a stick, and so on. And then around level 7, I think it is, they start to, there's a double speed flag that gets set. And so some of the planes will come out going twice as fast, so they can actually outpace your tank. And I noticed when I was playing that I'd play at level 3 and get a pretty good game, and then I'd play again and I'd sort of do terribly. And I noticed that it seemed like the double speed planes were coming out immediately instead of coming out at level 7. And so I looked at the code, and it turns out that when I set up the game, I never clear the double speed flag. So when you start the game and you play, you do okay. If you get far enough, or if you start at a high enough level, the double speed flag gets set and never gets reset. So even if you go back to level 0 or 1. So the tip is, restart the game. It'll be easier. Now, we could spin this as sort of a adaptive difficulty feature if you're into spin doctoring, but I don't think I can credibly make that case.
It's a feature, not a bug.
That's right. They're all features.
So the GOC smart play is restart your game every time.
So I was not imagining things when I just continually got worse at the game. I'd have always the good game in the first one, and then I'd have crappy games. And that was the reason.
It might be, although the sophomore slump is real. So
you aren't just old.
I was also going to say, does that also work in all the other games that I play, where I always do good in the first game and then crappy from then on?
No, there you're just old.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do actually have the source code for the game, so I am going to make it available. Although it's a weird sort of collection of several files, and I'm gonna have to figure out how I actually built it originally. To develop it, I had that they had edtasm and zbug on the cartridge, and there was a rainbow article that showed how to patch it so it would work on the disk. So that's what I was using for development. And I think the way it worked is that I would load up and assemble all the sort of 4 or 5 different pieces of it. And they'd all assemble into memory, and then I could run it, test it out a bit. And then for any particular module, I could load it up and assemble it and put it into memory to sort of, get things working. So it was, looking back, I was amazed I had the persistence to put up with that kind of thing.
So the source doesn't actually build into one thing. You've got like 5 things that fit in different places of RAM, and you save all the RAM, and there it is. Right? Is that kind of the...
Yeah, and I think I must have probably did use the zbug or whatever to actually save out versions of it. But there's sort of that second version, which is that somehow I took all of that and processed it to produce the basic listings and so on. Although probably the basic listing that does the shapes was probably my authoring environment for the actual graphics. But the rest of it was like, taking the little bin files, combining them together, and then converting them into a basic program in ASCII, which was that, massive listing that the poor people who actually typed in the game had to go through.
Check plus.
I was pleased when I wrote it that I put in the checksums on each line so that it could actually detect errors, because I thought the chances of somebody typing this in and getting it to work,
right, goose egg, right?
Well, yeah, and it being all machine language, it would be a disaster if something was wrong. So I said, I put in the checksums, but I feel like I was overzealous, because each line has a full sum of all the bytes on the line, which is probably too much. Now you're doing probably 10 or 15% more typing, when maybe that checksum should have been every 10 lines or something.
Well, I don't know, with the amount of dyslexia I've got,
right,
might not have been enough.
It blurs together after your first couple hundred lines. You just I've been there. I typed in some of these things, and I appreciate any little check thing you do. Anyway,
I can see the utility of having a line by line checksum, because now when you go to run it, the data analysis thing can say checksum error in data line blank.
Yeah, I can at least pinpoint it for you.
Yeah.
But at least, maybe every 5 or 10 lines would be at least, give you some locality to it.
Well, thankfully, we don't have to worry about that at all anymore. So,
yeah, 50% of the fun of these type-in games was going back through
getting the game running
line afterwards, trying to figure out where you made a mistake.
That was the game. I didn't care about the stupid game. I wanted to get it to run. And not reformat my disk because I accidentally typed in a discon routine wrong.
Yeah, but my brother and I and our friends, we went through typed in a lot of games from 80 Micro, mostly for the Model 1 and 3, but we'd usually have a team effort where you'd have one guy who's the reader and one guy who's the typer.
There you go. And the third guy that was the read backer, right?
Yeah. Well, the reader would look at what you're typing, and he would, wrap your knuckles if you type something wrong.
See, now when I was a kid typing in all these games, the only help I had was my cat walking across my keyboard every now and then.
Oh, that helps. Well, there you can usually see the commas don't line up anymore. So
Well, we did handicap ourselves a little bit because we developed a sort of religion about typing in basic programs that we abhorred sort of any waste. So if there was extra spaces, we insisted that
Right.
we take them out. If there were comments, oh my goodness, comments, complete waste. But they might go to a comment line, which is just horrible. So it was weird. I mean, it made sense if you're saving to cassette, and it did make the program slightly faster, but it was kind of insane too.
So 60 in the chat saying that the per line checksums were a godsend in the listings.
So I'm glad to hear it.
Now, Curtis does have a question in the comments here. Since you have a full debugger in the TRS-80 GP emulator, even for the CoCo 1 and 2, any thoughts on making a new CoCo game with a proper debugger?
Maybe.
You got another game in you? Come on.
And don't worry. I mean, if you're lacking in any ideas or stuff, we are really good at adding things to any building and building and building.
The feature creep experts.
Just ask Nick.
Come back on, give us 15 minutes. We'll give you another 2 weeks of programming easily.
Yeah, it's sort of strange, even though I've worked in the games industry for years, I'm definitely more of a programmer than a games programmer. So I've got that. So it's something I probably would want to do at some point. I've got so many other little projects that I want to do. So
right.
I guess recently I was doing a little programming on the MC10 with a PWM player, which was fun. But yeah, with the proper debugging tools, it's a world of difference at writing these things. That's for sure.
And also another question from Curtis. Did you have a group of beta testers, or was it just your brother when you were writing Blitz?
It was probably mostly Peter. Might have had some friends play it, I think. I don't remember, but yeah, it was mostly him. And we had at least one big argument about the thing. There were probably others, which was, I think when I wrote it originally, it didn't do any sort of page flipping, double buffering. And I think it must have been quite a flashy sort of mess because it would erase the entire screen and draw it and so on. And we had a big fight about whether I should do page flipping. And I think my point of view was that that's a bunch of work and it's hard. I didn't want to. And I think his argument was that it looks crappy and would be better with it. And he was right about that. So he eventually won that argument and I put it in. But I say that the main aim there was to actually sort of knuckle down and produce a finished something rather than these sort of partial efforts because we thought we could do it. And I don't know if we had dreams of actually going anywhere with this or just, wanting to get the fame of being published in Rainbow.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I've had throughout my entire life is a lot of partial games written, never actually getting that one big full one done, but it's definitely a good game. It's a lot of fun. And I mean, obviously, when you wrote this game, were you basing it off the Apple II games like Blitzkrieg and?
Yeah, definitely. I seen Blitzkrieg, and that was sort of, it's more or less something of a copy of that.
Mm-hmm.
Except that I wanted, instead of in that one, I think the gun is sitting at the right hand side of the screen.
Yeah,
in
it's
a fixed
stationary
position, and so I wanted something you can move around. So that was clearly the inspiration for it. And there's an Atari video game called Anti-Aircraft or something that's a bit similar that I must have been thinking about. I think my favorite part of it is that when it drops those stick bombs 5 at a time, that's sort of the best looking part of it. And completely fudged too, because I think I had the physics for the bombs in there where they just keep adding to their velocity as they drop, so they accelerate downwards. And to make those, I just made it so that the bombs drop at exactly the right space and that they don't collide with each other on the way down. So I just fudged it until it was working perfectly.
Yeah, that's one of the things I found interesting in this game is how the opponents could bomb their own guys. They'd also run into each other. And I like the fact that you actually got points for that.
Yeah, and that comes out of a necessity, is that like all the Model 1 games and like Atari 2600 games typically, is that the collision is all based on the graphics. So, I just simply draw out the planes, and when you draw out anything, and if it sees that there's already pixels on screen where it's being drawn, then it decides to blow up. So there's no mathematical calculations of bounding boxes or anything like that, which I think is why the tank has those flags on the side, is that it makes it thicker so that a bomb dropped from high altitude won't go through it because it's moving too quickly.
Now, one other thing, when you were on the live show, you were saying the explosion cloud that you can kind of create a shield with. That was a bit of a mistake, or not something you had originally intended, or?
Yeah, it wasn't something I originally intended. Again, for the sort of simple model of things, the fact that the bullets would, collide with anything, including the explosions, that was the way it was going to be. But then, yeah, after playing it for a bit, I discovered that obviously if you keep shooting an explosion, it would keep moving down until it got right on top of your tank. And I thought, well, that's interesting. But what was weird about it to me was the asymmetry. Is that if you get one of these explosions coming down and it's on top of your tank, you can move your gun to the left and it will stay there. But if you move it to the right, because of, I guess, the way the bullets are spaced, it will go away. And that's definitely something where I thought, well, okay, let's leave it alone. And it's also one of those things that, like many things in programming, you sort of look at it and go, not exactly sure why that's the case. And I haven't bothered to figure out why. It should be symmetric, you would think, but apparently it's not. But
Oh, go ahead.
I say that feature is pretty necessary at the high levels. If you can manage to hit a bomb on the way down, and give yourself a little bit of cover, but if it comes down, you can move to the left, and you're almost impervious moving to the left while this explosion is going on across the tank. A bomb from the right can still kind of kick you in the butt, but it's pretty good. So you get this rhythm of kind of moving to the left under protection, wait for your moment to break out and try and move to the right again so you can move to the left safely. And I think it's possible to get over 10,000 points on level 9, but it's not easy.
Actually, on level 9, my best scores were just the fact that I would die immediately and my explosion would take out a bunch of planes and I'd get points for it. Because there was so many planes on the screen already. Now, Curtis also mentions here that you had a specific flag in mind when you drew those flags on the tank.
Oh yeah, it's a Canadian flag since I'm, from Canada. It's also, of course, I think it's maybe 5 dots wide, or 6.3 wide pixels. So
it's basically just the 2 red stripes.
It's the 2 red stripes, and there's maybe a blob in the middle. So it's diagrammatic.
But it's also a way that you can tell whether you're in the right color set or not.
Yeah, that's right. I intended for those planes to be blue, and it's the one conceit. Well, it is a conceit in TRS-80 GP that when I implemented it, I made the artifacting color default so that Blitz works, which is, I think, bad because I think it's kind of the opposite of most games, but so be it. There's a menu item for it.
And now another question from Curtis, because course, he had all these questions ahead of time. Did your brother ever try to write any games himself?
Yeah, he did. And thinking about it, there was a few on the Model 3. He wrote a little lunar lander game in BASIC. Was one of these sort of 3-dot landers, and you could sort of fly around. And I think he wrote sort of a missile command game. I mean, one of his sort of tour de force pieces of programming was to write a line drawing routine, based on some magazine we had described Bresenham's algorithm. So he sat down and wrote it for the Model 3, which is Z80 processor and an assembly language. So we had this really fast line draw. So we had kind of we called it laser defense, I think. It was like missile command, except that it would fire a laser out of this central base through your crosshairs. And it was, the rest of it was in BASIC. And so these, these dots, these missiles would fall down and you would have to strike them with the laser. So it was a nice little game. And I think there must have been others, but those are the ones I remember anyways. I suppose I should mention that my brother is an identical twin brother, so there's sort of an interesting dynamic there.
So if you sneak, you can just sneak him onto the show when you don't have time, and we won't know the difference.
That's right. There's something slightly off, but we can't figure out what it is.
All right. Does anybody else on the panel have any more questions or anything from the audience that I miss? Or
Hey, George, how many? I see you have some hardware to the left over there. How much hardware do you have in your possession of shack stuff?
I've got probably about 10 machines or so, I think. I've got the CoCo 1, 2, and 3 sitting there. I think I've got another CoCo 3. Oh, sorry, that's just a 1, and a 2. Yeah, so there's a CoCo 3 somewhere. Got 2 or 3 Model 1s, couple Model 3s, couple Model 4s, couple of the big Tandies, Model 100. So a fair little collection.
MC10?
I do have an MC10, yeah, with the expansion pack.
Did you get it early on or later?
Later. The MC10 was probably in the past 5 years or so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, originally, back in 1980, we got a Model 3, and then somewhat later, I'm going to say maybe 82 or 83, we got a CoCo, and that was kind of it. Everything else was acquired, a few things in the 90s, and then stuff more recently.
And your brother, is he equipped well too?
No, not so much. I think he just has a Model 4P, so he's a little less of a pack rat, perhaps.
There's your difference.
That's right.
I think Patrick was saying, what are you doing now? So
what am I doing now with my life? Well, I work for a small games company called Code Mystics, which it's all a work from home thing, and there's like a half dozen of us, and we do emulations and game ports.
So what machines?
Sort of anything. Like we've done it for consoles and PC and Mac on occasion. Some of our bigger titles we've done are like these Atari emulations, which cover like Missile Command and Asteroids and all those games. I guess most recently we've been steadily working on Neo Geo emulations, just bringing them to the PC, Xbox, and PlayStation, and then doing the usual thing of adding those few extra features you typically get on the consoles, like achievements, right? So my day-to-day life for that is a fair bit of like reverse engineering and figuring out how to detect when you've done a certain move in the game and trigger an achievement, that kind of thing, or just straight up game ports.
So do you guys ever do the artwork for the games, or do you have to make suggestions, or does that not happen at all?
For most of them, we do add supplementary artwork, like the emulations tend to have a front end, so those are all have custom art, and you do a lot of icons and stuff for the achievements and the gallery, and so there's a fair bit. We do have a one artist on staff.
Yeah.
All right. So, anybody else have any questions or
Is my
comments?
mic working now?
Yep.
Can you hear me, Ken? Okay, excellent. Love Zoom. Automatic volume will went to 0. I do have a question. Go ahead.
No, and that's why I do all my audio processing through OBS.
Ah, okay.
Which likes to change your defaults on you.
Yeah.
Not in my case. I don't run
Okay.
Windows.
I had a question for George. I think I do. Oh, I was just gonna actually the comment. So if you do want to think about doing like a classic game or revamp or whatever, those of us now have more money to buy things, and there are some really great ways to distribute your product. There's a site called itch.io where people distribute stuff either for free or for a small cost, and so you can make a few dollars selling new versions of your games.
Oh, cool. I think I've seen somebody on itch.io.
Paul Shoemaker uses it for distributing his stuff.
Oh,
and,
yeah, that's
the
probably
Thayers,
it.
I think, also. And who else? Rick Adams, also. Temple of Rom, his new stuff does through itch.io. Nick Parentes does his stuff through his own website. But yeah, there's, you could collect quite a few Ferraris, at least the shoebox size ones. So.
Nice.
Anyway, and thank you for your emulator, Chip.
You're welcome.
Do you know Jim Gary? No, he does a lot of stuff for the MC10.
I know of him and have
Yeah.
spoken to him a little bit.
Yeah.
Another fellow Canadian.
He's pretty sharp.
Because all the best people are from Canada, aren't they?
It is.
He kind of put the MC10 on the map, again.
Yeah,
tons of software.
That's an amazing number of programs he's written, transcoded, or whatever for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's see. Can't see anything else. I don't know. Does anybody else have any more questions here for George? Or
George, did you ever belong to a computer club of any kind? Probably Model 1s back in the day?
No. I grew up in a small town in southeastern BC, just above the Idaho Panhandle. And so there was kind of like a handful of people I knew about that, had computers at the time. So there was no the club was kind of the people you knew, but there wasn't a club really. Just the
it was
kids
just
at
your
high
friends
school.
coming over to play games and
Yeah. The high school business department of all things actually got a Model 1 in sort of 1978 or 79. And so that was our big introduction to it, and it started us down that path. And so then there was 3 or 4 of us high school kids, using the computer at the time. And then we got a Model 3. And then there was a kid who showed up in grade 8, I think. I think I'm sure he lived in Creston all his life, but that was a whole different thing because we were sort of isolated before because we had the computers and, maybe 80 micros and Radio Shack. But he had a full Model 1 system with disk drives, and he had an uncle in Calgary who would send him pirated software, essentially. So before, whereas we had sort of, what we could type in and the odd Radio Shack game, now we had the whole world of, all the amazing games that were out for the Model 1 available to us. in some sense, it sort of wrecked us because there we were living on a desert island. We could have, maybe produced something, but instead now it's like, let's just play Supernova and Galaxy Invasion instead.
Because you're getting all the offsite backups.
That's right.
So I guess actually one thing I was going to mention, like you started out with the Model 1, Model 3. Are you aware of Robert Kilgus and the stuff that he did in the programming stuff there?
Well, I watched or listened to the interview with him recently, which is quite interesting with the stuff that he did, especially with the sound on the CoCo and so on.
And the
Model
1?
Yeah, I gather that that was maybe an inspiration for some of the Model 1 guys to do sound from hearing it on the CoCo.
Well, actually, he was the one that figured out how to do the sound on the Model 1 when it first came out and sent it to Radio Shack and said, you can do sound if you go through the cassette port here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I gather that also this, I think it was like on Dino Wars, maybe the sample sound was a bit of an inspiration for the people to do voice on the Model 1 and 3.
His wife was the one that did all the roars and stuff. And yeah, you probably heard the interview that myself and Curtis did with him last year.
Yeah, that was a great interview. Very interesting.
Yeah. Definitely one of the people that did a lot for these computers that didn't quite get the recognition. I don't think that, as he was saying, he never heard any feedback from Radio Shack about any of the stuff he did. So
how did you make a living all your life? Were you a programmer all along, or?
Yeah. I worked as a system administrator for a while at the University of British Columbia, the computer science department, and then was sort of an internet web consulting guy for a few years. And then and on the side we did the original Williams arcade games emulated from the PlayStation, the Defender, Joust, Robotron, Bubbles, and a couple others. And after the web internet thing sort of petered out, we just went straight into the emulation programming, games programming, about 2002 or something.
On PCs?
On PCs, we did a lot of stuff for the Game Boy and consoles. So like biggest one I worked on was Midway Arcade Treasures, which was Xbox, PS2, and GameCube.
Got that one right behind me here.
Oh, nice.
Me too.
So what was your first computer you had an experience with? Myself in high school, I had a IBM Selectric that had Hangman on it with paper, and it was hooked up to a computer somewhere else, and that was my first computer experience. What did you have? I don't know if you're as old as I am. I'm 70, so.
I'm just coming up on 60, so a little bit younger.
Yeah.
But so there might have been something else, but the one I really remember was the classic going to Radio Shack, and again, being in a small town, we didn't even have a Radio Shack, so it was hour and a half drive to Cranbrook. But so there was a Model 1 in there, and the manual was there, and you type in programs, and I remember typing in the classic, I think it was probably level 1 basic program where you input a string or print what's your name, input a string, print hello a string, right? And I ran that program and it absolutely blew my mind because it was just like, whoa, because this is probably
the future is here type of thing, right?
Yeah, you knew about calculators and you knew about TV, but like here was something that was making something happen on sort of a TV, but it was
that you did. Yeah.
It was you did, it was like you couldn't explain how it worked. But it was clearly magic.
And black and white didn't matter.
Didn't matter. It's like, what is this sorcery and where can I get more of it?
All right. Well, I don't think there's any what's that say? Ken, question for George, advice from me. What?
And then one line above that.
What am I missing?
I'm
confused.
So I guess the question is, George, did you ever work with Dave Dyes?
No.
No.
Oh, there we go.
No.
Okay.
I
I think
see.
that may have slid past, but
Here's one other thing to ask you, I guess, since we have so much time. Did you work
Well, it's
with
gonna be
any
short
other?
news.
Did you have the proverbial Apple and breadboard Commodore thing? Did you ever experience those or never want to? Myself, I just stuck with Radio Shack. I've never had or seen an Apple of any kind working, or I just stuck with Shack stuff.
But definitely at the time, the Apple II was around, and when we got the Model 3, Peter and I had quite a debate about whether we should get a Cirrus 80 or an Apple. The Apple was quite a bit more expensive, and since our parents were paying for this, they were much more comfortable being able to go to a physical store and buy this thing as opposed to, whatever hoops they'd have to go through to get an Apple II. There was somebody who had an Apple II in town and we used it. And then, much to the annoyance of our little computer crew, a couple of years after the business computer guy had a couple TRS-80s for his use, the computer did decide to go into computers and actually teach a computer course. And so there was a big dog and pony show about this, and essentially the Apple II guy came in and blew him away with this great big multimedia MIDI demo thing, which I think was maybe just a show. I have a feeling that getting the Apple IIs is a foregone conclusion. But anyhow, the school got a whole lab full of Apple IIs. So we had a good year of playing with the Apple IIs. So we're fairly familiar with those things. And the computer science 11 they taught basic. And since Peter and I were so familiar with basic, they actually let us use Pascal on the Apple II.
Let's just say the school didn't pay exactly the list price for their Apple IIs.
Yeah, pretty much. Most schools had Apple IIs, but it's interesting.
Well, yeah, because they were cheaper than Commodores if you were a school.
I've actually discussed the whole thing with a lot of people, but people that come from smaller areas, especially in Canada, always seem to be more Radio Shack centric because exactly the reason that you could go into a Radio Shack and try the computer out. If you wanted an Apple, if you wanted a Commodore, you could buy them through catalogs, but
right.
I remember the two things that the mania of personal computers was pretty wild back then, because at one point a store in Cranbrook actually loaned a few people in the school a VIC-20 to use. So we actually for a week had a VIC-20 at home that we were playing with because the store, I guess, was just trying to encourage sales. And there was actually a computer show in our town once, and it was like it filled the curling lounge, so it was a fairly big deal. And there was every type of computer that 1981 or whatever had to offer there. There might have been, I don't know if there was some IBM PCs. The one I remember that was kind of odd was it was an Olivetti M something or other, but I think it was that thing that featured the Z8000 processor, so it was 16-bit. Ooh. We were impressed. It looked impressive, whatever it was. But it was kind of wild that they would have such a thing in such a small town. I think there was, a certain internet bubble mania to personal computers at the time.
That's so wonderfully Canadian. It filled the curling lounge.
Across from Canada, when I lived in Rochester, they had I have an actual computer that was used in the Rochester school system. It was, I think, 16K Model 1, and it has their sticker on it still, you know, in the education department. So there's one town that had them.
I may not be accurate about the curling lounge. It just occurs to me that I spent most of my high school years going to high school in a skating rink, essentially, because our school unfortunately burned down in grade 8.
Oh, gee.
And so the actual business class, I think, was in the sort of curling lounge. It was like this, and that's where the Model 1 was for a while. It was a weird place because it was kind of like velvety carpeted, and I think there was an actual bar in there or something. I don't know, but
in the school, yeah, I love it.
Yeah. But most of the classes were in the actual rink itself, which they'd set up a whole bunch of partitions. And so if you stood in the stands, you could look down and, you know, see basically the entire school learning or something. And occasionally you'd see an orange fly out from one side of the rink to the other. But
did you ever?
That was just high school.
You probably had PCs then when they first came out and stuff, and you know, maybe down the road a little. You didn't start with 286s, maybe 386s or 4s.
I was definitely around for the introduction of the IBM PC, and when I went to university in 1983, there was a guy we got to know who had one, and it was, you know, quite the thing, an original IBM PC. I think he had a hard drive. Well, he probably just had floppy drives. But going to university, taking computer courses at the time, you didn't need a computer yourself. You know, they provided all the equipment. So probably wasn't until, say, 1985 or 86 that I actually bought my friend's 286. So that was my first PC.
Okay.
And then used them from there, kind of. You know, it felt like every second generation I got a new computer.
Hey, Ken, did you get all of Curtis's questions asked?
I think so.
About George working with Dave Dice?
Yeah.
Yep, that was asked.
Okay.
Yep.
There was, I guess Curtis is mentioning that I have a connection to Jeff Bavisser. Well, Jeff Bavisser actually runs the company I work for now, but we
Really?
sort of met up online. You know, somewhere in the mid 80s, talking about our respective TRS-80 emulators at the time. And then he went on to make, you know, one of the first CoCo, or maybe the first CoCo emulator.
Yeah, like the first CoCo 3 emulator I remember was his.
And so that's how Peter and I got into sort of the gaming emulation side of things, because he worked for a company, Digital Eclipse, and they had done Defender, Robotron, and Joust for the Mac. But they wanted to do a PC version. And since those machines share the same processor as the CoCo, the 6809, you know, somebody just found out at the company that he had a 6809 based emulator, so he could probably do these games for the PC, which he did. He did DOS versions of the emulations. And he started working with them fairly closely. And then they decided they wanted to actually bring their emulations to the PlayStation 1. And Jeff he was busy with some other project at the time. So he looked for someone else who could do the emulation on the PlayStation 1. And he got in touch with Peter and I, and so we took on that project as a moonlighting project while we worked at the University of British Columbia. So that's, yeah, and then we went back and joined Digital Eclipse. So Jeff had been there for years and basically worked with them ever since.
Curtis says, wasn't Digital Eclipse David Dye's company way back?
The original guy I know for Digital Eclipse is Andrew Ayres.
Okay.
He is one of the founders, and there was a couple of other guys. And then they sort of expanded and joined up with some other little gaming companies, and then some point in the 2010s, I think that sort of all blew up. But they had formed a studio in Prince Edward Island called Other Ocean. They worked there for a while, and that sort of morphed and actually rebranded itself as Digital Eclipse. So Digital Eclipse exists now, but it's kind of a second generation of the company with some continuity, but not a lot.
Be cool to get Jeff on here.
So Peter Willard, go ahead.
Oh, I say I could talk to him about it. He's super busy though.
Well, he wants to be inculcated in the 6809 history that we have here.
Trying.
Right, but as always, everyone you want to talk to has stuff to do because that's the people they are. They do stuff. They don't talk about the stuff they're doing. So yeah, good luck.
Well, he's got to be up in age too.
Give it a whirl, yeah.
Yeah, he's younger than me. I think about 5 years, let's say approximately.
Yeah, so that's why he's busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we interviewed Dave Dyes a couple of years ago, I think it was now. Yeah. We've had some interesting people on CoCo Talk and the CoCoNation over the past 8 years. So.
Oh, yeah.
Any further questions? Panel, audience?
Five minutes after we close this out, I'll have one. So let's go on and close it out, and I'll come up with my question that I didn't think to ask.
All right. Well, then I guess we have to give a big thank you to George for being here, for writing the game Blitz. And yeah, if you have any other game ideas or start doing anything like that, you can feel free to come onto the show and promote it. And as I said, we will be happy to feature creep it for you.
We have a friendly community here. Please come back.
We can get that 16K right up to 128. Just give us a chance.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's been great talking to you.
And yeah, feel free to drop into the live Game On challenge anytime you want and play any of the games or show stuff off that you're working. You can show stuff off that you're working on, even if it's not, game stuff. We've had that happen a few times. And
can you solder like I was gonna say
don't go there.
As well as Curtis.
I am 100% the what you would expect a programmer to be with hardware.
Non-hardware
catastrophe.
I think Ron, what you're asking is, can he solder as well as you can?
Yeah, exactly. Perfect.
All right. So that is, I guess, putting Blitz to rest now. Now we have to talk about our other game, which, what was it called? Boris the Bold. So, yeah, definitely this is a European game because you think there's enough ways to kill you in it, and then they just suddenly find more ways to kill you.
More.
It's like, if all the stuff on the screen can't kill you, the timer can't kill you, we're just going to throw in these randomly appearing gas clouds that kill you.
Now we know why Boris is bold.
Yep.
Right? He was there.
But for tips and tricks for that game, definitely you get the most points for picking up the diamonds. So try to steer yourself towards them, but I would say because the timer is so short, don't go back to try to get diamonds. Just finish the screen if you can't, if they're out of your reach, because trying to go to a part of the screen that you can't just slowly move yourself to as you're going down or something, you'll run out of time and die. Does anybody else have anything to say about Boris the Bold this week? Anybody? Anybody?
Killer's not here.
Huh? What?
All right. Well, we're going to be playing Boris the Bolt for another week, so you have time to come up with some questions and some hints and tricks and everything else for next week. But for now, let's just take a little look at the live Game On Challenge. So on Thursday night, we played, as you can see, a mix of Blitz and Boris the Bold. And yeah, we're having, I think, a lot of fun doing it. I don't know. It's we had like 6 or 7, I think maybe up to 8 players at a time. So, or maybe 7 was the maximum. Well, I guess 7 was the maximum. Even though MarkO was there and wasn't actually playing, he was just sitting in the background playing on his other computer. But
I was
we'll still
in the
count him.
Glenside meeting.
We'll
Where
still
some of
count
you could
him
have
as
been.
being there because he had Boris ready to be loaded. I don't know if he actually loaded it during the show, but it was ready.
I did play the other one though, and submitted a score.
So if you want to join us in the live Game On Challenge, then you can do that on Thursday nights starting at 8 o'clock Eastern. And it's in the Discord channel. You can join there, or you can just join us in the audience on either YouTube or Twitter, or Twitch, sorry. And yeah, you can make fun of us how bad we are at playing these games.
Heckling is encouraged.
Exactly. So I guess that brings us to what is our new game?
Drum roll, please.
Let me see. Share. Does anybody know this one?
It's an Infuto game for sure.
It's an Infuto game.
I think I
It's
saw
a little
them
bit of
playing-
it.
I
Sorry.
think I saw them playing this on ARG Presents at one point.
Probably. I think I've also seen Buck Owens playing it on his stream.
Is that one Maisie?
No. No. Okay. I had to look
Free
at
us
what
from our torture.
I had to look at what the name was. Okay, so in this game, what you're doing is you're picking up those cards. You pick up one at a time, and then you have to throw it across the screen to hit another card, and you're trying to match them. So as you can see right there, it's I threw a king. It hit the other card, which is an ace, so obviously it doesn't match. So
Concentration man.
basically. And this game is called dun 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 Near Us. So it is available on the archive, and we can submit scores on the CoCo 1 or 2, the CoCo 3, or the MC10.
I think everyone's drawing a total blank.
Looks like an Infuto game.
It is. Didn't I share the screen just now?
Yeah.
I can't.
Okay.
My bandwidth is.
So Near Us.
So what, you run around the maze to find the cards, and then you try to throw the card at the other card that you can't see anymore, but you have to remember what was there.
You pick up the card, you take it, you throw it across to hit another card, and then it'll display the 2 cards. And if they match, they disappear. If not, you got to pick it up and go throw it at a different card.
That's 2 different skills, man.
It's not a terribly difficult game, but I think it's kind of fun.
No math involved, right?
No math involved. Just
I can handle it.
Yeah,
And
just
no
like
memory. That's the problem.
Yeah, you just gotta actually. There is when you pick up a card, it does show you what card you're holding up at the top of the screen. So.
I actually kind of like that theory. It's an extra wrinkle on Pac-Man that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a different maze game. So I guess yeah, that's all I have to say about the Game On Challenge. So that's going to be for 2 weeks now, and Boris is for 1 more week. So we can move on.
Oh, so is that it for Game On Challenge?
That's it. Wake up, Mark. Game On
We're done
Challenge is
playing games, man.
And wake up, other Mark. It's time for the news.
I'm awake.
Marks are activated.
I don't think Mark B's awake though.
Well, he should
That's
run a
okay.
commercial, and then he'll be good. He'll be up to speed then.
If you see the amount of money we pay him, I wouldn't be awake either.
Right.
Let's see. Is my mic working?
Yeah,
Yes.
you're here.
Okay. Okay, because we still have the Curtis intro. Which, okay, what the heck? Or do you
Run
want
it anyway. What the
or, do we
Run
need, or do we need a coffee refill?
Coffee refill. Run an ad.
Refill. Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, this is Mark Siegel, product manager for the Color Computer product line and designer of the Tandy Color Computer 3. And I'm proud to be a citizen of the CoCoNation.
Shall we play a game?
Making games for the CoCo for over 35 years. Go to my CoCo Games website at www.nickmarentes.com for information and pricing of my later games, as well as downloads of many of my older games.
CoCo2's got personality, lots of practicality, fun, it's sensational, learn it's educational. CoCo2's expandable, so easily commandable. It's programmable, so term exam grammable. Just you and CoCo2 do what you want to do.
CoCo2, the color computer with personality from Radio Shack. Sale price for Christmas giving from $149.95.
Radio Shack's CoCo2, do what you want to do. Just you and CoCo2.
When you want the latest in TRS-80, Tandy, Dragon, MC-10, and all of their hardware cousins, no matter what it takes, or where news breaks, from around the world to your nation. The CoCoNation News with El Curtis Boyle.
And filling in for L. Curtis Boyle today is MarkO.
Hi, y'all there. This is a last minute switch. Curtis was having technical problems, so I wasn't totally prepared to do this today.
It's 404.
It's 404. Yeah.
Yeah, Curtis not found.
Am I loud enough?
Yes.
Yes, you're good.
Excellent. Okay, so anyway, I'm having my right-hand man, Rick Hewlin, run the tabs and stuff, so he'll be sharing his screen, and I will be doing the narration, I guess. So we're going to go with the interview schedule and the coming events first, since that's what we have loaded up. By the way, thank you for our special guest today, George Phillips, for his game and his emulator. Thank you. Yay! And letting us badger you to death and waste an hour or two. Well, we didn't waste it. It was all good. Okay, so moving right along. Interviews. We actually have something coming up on April 5th. We're going to have a special about the RIBS BBS system, which runs on OS 9. Anyway, for those of you who went around in the day, I wasn't actually. I was an Apple person. But essentially, CoCo 3 running Nitrous 9 and running RIBS could join the FidoNet system, do relay mail back in the 90s. And so we're going to have, I believe it is Ron Charles Chuck West, who is actually a friend of Mark B, our engineer. And they're going to talk about RIBS on OS 9. Anyway, that's coming up April 5th, so put that on your calendar. Remember, we record all these shows. And oh, that reminds me, looping back, Curtis did to mention that there is a 6309 friendly version of Boris that is available on the CoCoNation CoCo Discord. I just posted a link in the chat if you want to join, and one of the admins will run you through the gauntlet, and then you can join up and go find out what we're all about on Discord. Anyway, back to this. April 5th, RIBS BBS. Okay, upcoming convention, trade shows of interest, and other sorts of in real life events that you might want to attend. So, Rick, you ready to go with the first tab?
Yeah, if we share me, it's the Interim Computer Festival.
Okay, so Mark B, push the right buttons.
Well, he's got to share first.
My camera is the Interim Computer Festival.
Oh, okay. You're doing a camera method, not the Zoom share.
Oh yeah, no, I don't mess with Zoom. It's scary. It's dangerous.
As I found out.
Okay, so the best I'm probably going to be able to do is a side by side like this.
Okay. Can you
sure,
give me a preference?
Yeah.
You know what? Let
smaller?
me try something different. No, I can't change the sizes.
Okay.
So I can do this. And then
they don't need to see me. Yeah, make him big.
Spot him when there's nothing better to say. Yeah. This is only 1/3 of the tabs we have to get through, so let's.
Jim Rice says. Jim Rice says, news. Could we get the silent voices back?
Yes, we can.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you very
nice
much.
And quiet now.
Remember, 404.
Remember, this is consensual. You are here by your own choice.
And blowing Rick up like that makes a totally unreadable screen anyway.
It should link in a second. Zoom looks good. I guess I can't see what the.
If you want to see the show notes that we're working off of, they are available on the CoCo Discord. Join up and look in the news channel and download your own copy for yourself. So coming up first, next weekend is the Interim Computer Festival in Seattle, Washington. This group is basically remembering the good old days with VCF Pacific Northwest, which is no longer with us. Neither is the Living Computer Museum, unfortunately. But they are trying their best to have in-life events that you can go attend. I'm planning on being there since it's only a 4-hour drive for me. So my plan is to be there next week and with my CoCos and Apple II, and I won't take my SX64. But anyway, so they hope that they might be able to get back to a VCF status at some point in the future. But anyway, small group, plethora of stuff, a lot of fun to talk to people in real life. Anyway, moving along, VCF East is coming up next. That's April 4th through the 6th. 2025, and it's going to be at the Info Age Science Museum in Wall, New Jersey. There is a link to VCFed.org and the events, plus all the other VCF links. And I should throw this over to Henry the third, because he's going to be a presenter on the CoCo and FujiNet stuff, if I remember right.
I'm not a presenter. I'm going to be in the classrooms
Oh,
helping
that's
out
right,
with that.
classroom.
Yep, doing some of the some of the FujiNet classes and doing the assembly classes. But what we've decided is that because it's been such a pain to try and get together enough functional hardware to actually run the classroom on real hardware, we're looking at bring your own machine. You know, so for the classes, bring your laptop, bring your whatever it is for, to come into the classes. We'll have emulation solutions ready. I'm working on that myself as far as the FujiNet PC and the FujiNet PC installation, things of that nature. Made a wonderful discovery that you don't have to compile it from source as long as you get the binaries from somebody. I'm making a video on that I'll be releasing on Friday. That will also show where you can download it for yourself. I'll make it readily available. Personally, if you're a Linux user, I find it easier to just go ahead and compile it yourself on your Linux environment. But it looks like if you're running x86-64 Linux, I can have a compiled version for you as well.
Sounds cool. You have a link to that?
Install Build Essentials.
Yep. Well, yeah, it's, I have to install Build Essentials, but what if you're on Arch Linux? Then you got to figure out the Pac-Man thing. So I don't have a location for that yet because I'm still putting everything together. I'll have everything together by Friday.
Excellent. We can present it next show. What to do and where to go.
Exactly.
Excellent. Thank you. Anything further?
Not at this time.
Excellent. So Rick, you moving along. Our next big event is going to be in Canada, in Manitoba, at the Manitoba Retro Computer and Gaming Club meetup at the Fort Rouge Leisure Center in Winnipeg, Manitoba. That's on April 12th, and Curtis has been to this one before. We have some other local people there, like D. Bruce Moore and, sorry, I forget your name right at the moment, David Quaker. They're going to be there local. They have, and they've been in the past. Hopefully they'll be there as well. Maybe we'll get some live reporting. This one's going to be themed around the Commodore 128, which I really thought was kind of a cool machine, but it was too backward compatible with the 64, so nobody loved it very much. Anyway, I do have a Commodore 128 that works, by the way, and a 1571. Anyway, a wide variety of machines, and past one was TRS-80 themed. Anyway, there is a link to the Facebook group in our notes. And anyway, if you're in the area, you might want to drop by and talk to other computer enthusiasts in real life, because it's a whole lot more fun than doing Zoom calls. Although I do like doing Zoom calls every week. Okay. Moving along to the next one and our big yearly event. Thank you, Glenside Color Computer Club, by the way, which their meeting was this last Thursday. You should have attended. I want to add that if you have purchased a table, or have paid your club dues, you are a member of the club, you can attend the meetings and you can vote. And this is important because as far as I know, they are a nonprofit and they need to have regular meetings with members attending and voting on things. So if we don't have enough, if they don't have a quorum, it gets kind of sticky. Stuff has to be pushed off till the next month. So please, if you can, make a chance to drop in. Anyway, CoCoFEST, May 2nd to the 3rd. Note this is going to be a little different because it's going to be a Friday, Saturday, instead of a Saturday, Sunday. So the auction, I guess, is still going to be on Saturday before the meal. Basically, we'll have Sunday morning to clean up. So if you be there late Thursday or very early Friday, you get set up and hang out for a couple days and then clean up on Sunday morning and then take off. Anyway, we're going to be again at the Holiday Inn and Suites in Carroll Stream, which is in Wheaton, Illinois. This will be like the 3rd year, I think, in a row we've been at this location. There are special fest rates at $122 a night for 2 queens or 1 king bed. And you will need to use the group code G30, I think is what it is, to get that rate. And it does end on April 7th, so we're running out of time to reserve your room. Tables, Rick, do you have your layout screen with the tables all annotated? We could pull up the website too, but it's kind of vertical. Here is Rick's nicely annotated one with people's names on the tables. And you'll notice right in the bottom left, there are 2 empty tables in the main room. Those could be yours. These are the shorter tables. I think they're what, $40 a table. Anyway, one of those could be yours.
Yeah, get them while you can. There's only 2.
There is other tables available in the other room and in the hallway, so there is plenty of room. But if you want to join us in the big room at the adults table, you can. Somebody said that earlier.
The adults table, yes.
Anyway, we are looking forward to it. I think we're down to about 40 some days now, 45 days, I think.
It's
until the
getting
event.
close.
Right. I'm soldering like mad, and I'm not burning
Hopefully.
my fingers so far.
Show off. Anyway, we'd love to see you there in real life. It's a great time. Show you around. I remember a couple of years ago, I roomed with Grant Blado, who was on the chat earlier, and it's like he was kind enough to pick me up at the airport. And so I said, I'm a vendor, I have a table. Let's come down. I'll show you the setup. He goes, really? Yeah. So I went around and introduced him to everybody. He had a blast. He said later he talked to like 70 people. He said it was amazing talking with people that are into this hobby that, you know, he was in years ago. And it's all these people that are interested in something he's interested in. So thank you, Grant. Anyway, let's see. I think that's all we have on that. So moving along to the next one. Thank you, Rick, for that.
Which is
RetroFest 2025. And this is going to be in Swindon. Okay, so this is going to be in the UK. This is kind of new, just kind of popped up recently. So Tony Jewell, I believe he's the guy in the video on the left, if I remember right, is kind of looks like the instigator with this. And it's going to be May 30th through June 1st, 2025. Lots of dragon people, of course. And it's being held at a STEAM, the Great Western Railway Museum. That sounds kind of cool. Anyway, they have a link to their website, retrofest.uk, and the promo video you can see listed there. We showed it last week. And if you're in the UK, this might be a good thing to go see. Again, people in real life. It's always fun to hang out with those other people that have interests like yours. Anyway, all I can say about that for the moment. Moving along to the next one, Rick. Looks like it's VCF Southwest, which is going to be in Texas. And as all of you should know, Texas is the home of Tandy and the color computer. And there are lots of people there that work for Tandy, including Mark Siegel and a few others who will be probably showing up at this year's VCF Southwest. Anyway, the dates are June 20th through the 22nd, 2025. They're going to be at the Davidson Gundy Alumni Center at the University of Texas in Dallas, Texas. Tables and tickets will go on sale in January, $20 for adults, $25 if bought at the door, $10 a student, $15 at the door, 17 and under are free with accompanying adult. Tables are $50. Sorry here. And their website, bcfsw.org. Okay. There probably will be a few other people like Brendon Donahue. He lives in the general area, so he'll probably show up as well. And I know there's a few other people. Jim, no, sorry. Bob, you're in the Texas. You're in the Dallas area, aren't you?
Yes, and I will probably be there.
Excellent. So if you want to meet Bob in real life, now's your chance. Thank you, Bob. Okay. Not to put you on the spot. Okay. Moving along. Okay, BoatFest, also actually now known as the International Retro Computer Expo, is going to be held July 11th to the 13th in Hurricane, West Virginia, which, strangely enough, Henry III is familiar with Hurricane. There's also a promo video for it now, and you can get tickets at Ticketsource US. Again, the links are available on our Discord.
This has to be the smallest name to the largest name. We went from a boat to international.
Yeah. So these are guys, the Amigos, and their color computer show and gaming and stuff. So Curtis has been there, Ken has been there, Henry's been there. So anyway, always good again in real life to meet up with people that have similar interests to you. Okay, moving along, VCF Midwest, the biggest VCF. This is going to be in, and believed to be the largest retro show in North America. It's going to be September 13th through the 14th at the Schaumburg Convention Center in Schaumburg, Illinois. By the way, does everybody realize that Motorola is headquartered in Schaumburg? Anyway, this is the 20th anniversary of this show, and there's a lot of collaboration going on between CoCoFEST and VCF Midwest. So you'll see probably a large number of CoCo and Glenside people at the show. Still free admission. Hotel booking is open already, and they have their own website again, bcfmw.org. Same weekend, there's also going to be the Retro World Expo, which is going to be held September 12th through 14th at the Connecticut Convention Center in Hartford, Connecticut. Tickets and vendor applications aren't quite ready yet, but they will be soon. This is a gaming-oriented retro show, including tournaments. It's also suspected to include things like wrestling. That should be really interesting. Anyway, they do have a website, as you can see, and you can probably search for that unless you want to grab our show notes. Don't know much about us otherwise. It is closer to Henry III. So are you going to be attending this, Henry?
I'm not sure yet. I'm still really torn because Kernigan, whatever his name is, Kernigan is going to be at VCF Midwest, and that's really swaying whether I'm going to go there or not.
Brian
Yeah,
Kernigan?
from what I understand, I caught that. I can't remember which Discord server I caught that on, but I heard that Brian Kernigan's going to be at VCF Midwest. So for me, it's going to boil down to which do I have the available funds to get to. Because hearing from Brian Kernigan is going to be huge.
That would be huge.
Yeah, but
So,
at the same time, staying local and seeing what's going on locally would also be huge for me personally.
Yeah. So those of you who don't recognize the name, he's the K and KNR, as in the C language. You know, it's funny, here it is, 50 some years after Unix and C have been introduced, and Unix is still the core operating system that things operate in the world.
Right.
And C is still the low-level language that the Linux kernel is written in.
Okay, we've slipped the KNR v2, but you know.
Anyway, cool stuff. That would be cool to go see Brian Kernigan. Anyway, okay, so moving along. Another Tandy event, Tandy Assembly. This is all Tandies, and this is held in Ohio, Springfield, Ohio, in fact. It is going to be the September 26th through September 28th at the Courtyard by Marriott in Springfield, Illinois. And they have a website, of course, tandyassembly.com. And it's kind of, I can only squeeze in a couple shows a year, and that's kind of far from me. So anyway, but I know there's other people in the East Coast that have gone to this, and lots of Tandy goodness, all modeled. Okay, let's see, moving along. This year's Portland Gaming Expo runs from October 17th through the 19th, 2025. They have their own website, of course, portlandgamingexpo.com, mainly video games. AJ and Tim Lindner have attended
Correction.
this in the past.
RetroGamingExpo.com.
Ah, okay. Sorry, my bad. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you Portlanders all think you're so important.
Hey, you be nice when I come burn your house down.
Oh, man.
Hey, it's a local sport. Okay, anyway, so.
Hey, I don't own a Tesla.
Okay, anyway, games focused. AJ and Tim have been there in the past with the booth. I think you're just attending this year. I should go. It's only an hour and a half from my house. It's actually on the
Look
way
at
to
this
Seattle.
mess.
Yeah, I know. It's slammed. Anyway, who knows? I might do it. Okay, we'll see. Anyway, lots of gaming stuff, big names, very cool. Okay, and it
Oh,
looks
man, we
like-
ran out of tabs.
Okay, there is one other. Canada is getting its own VCF Montreal in January 25-26 of 2026. No more details yet, but they are working on getting that spun up, which sounds like a really good idea. Anyway, where are we at now?
I don't know. Now I have to find the next browser.
Yep, got it. Okay, so I want to move on to Game On News, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll have to find the...
Unless that's the wrong browser.
Things die on me if I open too many tabs. So I have to have multiple browsers, and they won't tell me where I'm going. Hey, Atari? Come on, Atari, do something. Is this where we want to be? Atari, games or news?
Games probably. That's what we usually do. If you don't mind. Renga in blue, part 3 of gameplay review. Keys of the Wizard. You got that?
Renga in blue. Yeah, we started. Oh, I think my games start with.
You're on the CoCo 123 news. So we can do that.
123 news.
Does anybody care if we do the regular news versus the game news first? Comments from the audience? No?
Hey, he's found this tab. Go for it.
Okay, good. Okay, we are in the CoCo 123 news. Excellent. Story number one. Somehow Curtis had missed that TRS-80 Retro Programming on YouTube released some videos last week, taking further his concept of doing Atari-style graphics and gameplay from Extended Basic. So, Asteroids Clone Ship Control Code.
Guys, I'm over 200 videos now.
Is this audio bleeding in?
We can hear it, but it sounds like it's in the background.
I'm just glad everyone is still watching. Or at least some people are still
I don't know
watching.
if it's useful.
It's a pretty good clip for
nice.
Just under 1 megahertz in BASIC. If this was in machine language, it would be full speed. But unfortunately, I don't know machine language. But I'm sure you guys are astonished a little bit anyways at the quality of this. So I'm navigating my get input at
Okay,
all.
let's see. What's he doing?
I'm going to go through this whole thing. Okay. And then we start off in P mode 4, which is a full screen. And I clear it. And I did issue a screen command, but I got rid of it. You want to do that first so you can see your sprites. We have a border, which is just that.
Let's see, we have
lots
of.
Looks like
he's just doing
draw
them.
and then screen flipping.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's what's going on here.
We don't see this. We go there.
I really should have watched this before the show.
Object.
Hey, Rick, you might reshare it with sound instead of just having it pick
And
up
I'll
your.
save that explanation for another video tomorrow.
This is my virtual camera, my virtual sound. I don't
Okay,
know how
gotcha.
to do anything with it.
Okay, we'll leave it.
I'm too tired.
I will figure that out though, because I may have to do this again
But I'll
someday.
go through that rest
Okay.
of
But
it.
in
Well, I
any
think it's
case, he's
enough of
got a
this
really
video.
nice. He's rotating his draw statements to do the asteroids flips.
Yeah.
I noticed, which is a very efficient way to do this in BASIC, and I can't make it go back to it. See, this is just a simple 90 rotations you get.
Clockwise
Yeah.
direction.
But it's amazingly close. It's better than Atari asteroids. I'll give you that.
Yeah. Okay, well, go ahead and stop the video. But yeah, this.
And I'll save that explanation for another video tomorrow because I don't have.
Stop!
I guess there's a
Yeah,
second
it's
video
nice.
on shooting the asteroids. Say what?
Yes,
It's nice. He might want to consider having 2 asteroids 45 degrees apart.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Right.
you could do multiple sprites and fix
And
a lot
alternate
of
them.
what's going on here.
Yeah, and
The
alternate
shooting.
them.
Oh, here comes shooting. Didn't shoot it.
It didn't explode, but it did shoot. So
It didn't split into multiple smaller asteroids.
Right, you're supposed to get creamed now when the 8 other asteroids come after you. Oh well, anyway. Cool. I mean, this is basic, folks. You know?
yeah, that's good for a
That's
demo.
impressive.
Okay, next up is CoCo Town. He's been doing a series on Nitrous 9 since his house is being repaired. And it looks like he doesn't have his hardware. What?
You would only use Nitrous 9 if your house is being repaired. I like that.
Well, let me back up. I assume his house being under repair, he doesn't have access to his actual
Right,
hardware.
right.
So he's doing
Emulators,
emulators while he's getting by. Right.
No,
okay.
it sounded funny.
I'm sorry. I was compressing stuff here. I guess I shouldn't be rushing. You know, we've got plenty of time
I should
here.
be in big mode because you don't need to know everything I've watched.
Exactly. Okay, anyway, so this is a deep dive into Nitrous 9's module memory management. This is like, I think, part 3, if I remember right. So roll a little bit of that opening footage. He's always funny in his videos.
Yeah, let's.
And welcome.
Oh, can you
in
hear
the
it?
previous video,
Yep.
we wrote a Hello World app in assembly language for Nitrous 9. And in that video, we talked about the distinction between code and data, and why that distinction might be useful in the way that Nitrous 9 manages memory. And in this video, we talked about the CoCo 3's memory management unit, and how it can be used to take a full 2 megs of physical RAM and distribute it across a simple 64K logical address space. Today we're going to merge those two videos together to form a crystal clear picture of how Nitrous 9 can use the MMU to... that's not clear. That's not clear. No. What we're going to do is talk about how Nitrous 9 makes use of the MMU so that it can, as efficiently as possible, allocate the physical RAM to the various 64K logical address spaces of the processes that are running under it. And it can do so in such a way where it can share memory when it can. It can completely ignore certain blocks of memory if they're not needed by processes. And it's really cool. So today we're going to use PMAP to show how each process's logical memory map is laid out. And we're going to use a Lua script running under.
We want you to go watch his video and make sure you get his count up, and make sure these people that you subscribe if you like their content, because that's how they get the affirmation that you're enjoying what they're doing. Also, it helps promote their stuff to other people, other viewers. So always good. Please support our community.
Right. They might even do it again. So yeah.
Exactly. And this looks like good content. I've watched a little of his stuff on this. It's like, I didn't watch the rest of these. So only so much time in the week. Okay, Rick, we're ready to move on to the next one.
Is this one?
I believe so. Yeah. So I believe it's Richard Godekin is how it's pronounced. Started a project a few years ago to benchmark various basics against each other on 8-bit machines and some 16 and 32-bit as well. Anyway, it's non-compiled interpretive basic. The CoCo 3 fared pretty well with Microsoft Extended Basic, and Richard ran benchmarks at 0.895, 1.78, and 2.86, which is regular speed, double speed, and gimme X speed. He recently ran it using Microsoft's Basic 09 under Nitrous 9 AOU 1.0.1, which is at 1.78 megahertz, and just using the 6809. He ran it with both everything floating point, real and basic, and with integer variables when possible. Even the floating point versions ran faster than other 8-bit machines and even faster than several 16-bit machines, including the Apple II GS ROM 3, and AppleSoft Basic at 2.8 megahertz, and the Atari 1040 STE with Atari ST Basic, and the Mac Classic with Microsoft Basic 3.0 in real mode. These last two are 8 megahertz 16-bit machines. Further tests with the 6309 optimized Nitrous 9, Basic 09, gimme X speeds may be forthcoming as well, but the CoCo 3 is already very competitive with a well-written basic design for the 6809 architecture. And it's been out since 1980. Anyway, Google Docs spreadsheet, you can see all the breakdown of stuff. Be very interesting just to see how your machine fared. This reminds me of the David All's benchmark way back in creative computing that had all the various machines lined up. So I should go see how the CoCo fared on that. It's been a long time. I know the Commodore and the Apple were neck and neck, which makes sense. So same basic, of course, and of course, same processor at the same speed. Anyway, I think we're done with this one. People know what to go look for. So moving on here to the next one. George Jansen's back with another lesson in assembly language programming for the CoCo 3. This time he's working on a pop-up window system. There's two parts, A and B. A is where he explains what subroutine package does and the fact it's a TSR and how it came about. Go ahead and roll part A. George is very easy to follow, very nice to listen to. Been enjoying his series. Interesting. So it's a TSR, so it loads in the background, and then you can use it from basic or assembly.
Okay, let's see. And then, of course, he dives into the code, which
in part B, yep,
which we're all going to get lost here. But those of you who can code, I'm just going to drop a couple of blocks here. He's definitely getting into where everything is and
in memory,
how it's laid out. And I'm sure that if you want to watch this video, you will learn much things.
Anyway, again, all these links are in our show notes, available on the Color Computer Discord. You can join by going to discord.thecoconation.com and just follow the instructions. Please don't forget to introduce yourself, give your name, at least a real first name, and why you're interested in old computers. And one of our very kind and helpful admins will admit you. I'm one of them. Okay. Thank you, George. I do really enjoy watching your stuff. Moving along, Alan Huffman. So those of you who don't know about Alan Huffman, he actually worked at Microware, who developed OS 9 and the BASIC for the Color Computer 3. Plus, he had his own company later on, which is, what was the name of this company?
Subetha.
Subetha, right out of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
And then he was in the Genie SysOp and
oh yeah, he's all his
a dozen
fingerprints are all
other
over
things.
stuff.
Yeah.
So it appears that Alan was posting some photos from Microware's history and a whole bunch of stuff clear back to before the 6809 came out. Anyway, this is all on Facebook, of course. So if you don't have an account, you're gonna have to mooch off of somebody who does. Says he also emailed the current holders to the Radio Shack brand to find out what all they have control of and got a response. And there's a Facebook post on that. That will be interesting. Anyway, really nice guy. Not met him in real life, but chatted with him a bunch of times. Oh, Curtis says we can click through the pictures.
Oh, we missed.
Hey, you want to jump through the pictures?
What
Where are you at
pictures?
now?
Oops. The
Did you
tab
close
we
that tab?
lost. Okay,
Yeah.
let's put that tab back up.
Okay. Yeah.
Mr. Huffman has a
Yeah.
tab.
Yeah, might as well go back to the Microware history. You should still go to your history.
What the heck?
Recent closed tab.
Well, I don't.
Okay.
Control Shift T.
Sometimes, but sometimes that opens things that you might not want to open. Okay, let's.
Thank you, Curtis, for the hint. Did
we
you find
are-
the
Is this
micro
the
win?
Well, yeah, I don't know. We want to see
Group-
his porn.
Facebook posts? I don't.
Now I bet it's pictures of cats.
Oh, these? No, that's not.
No.
Somebody's
What am I
CoCo
missing?
One. That's the CoCo one's been modified with the
Alan Huffman manuals and etc. Oh, this one, the first Alan Huffman link, not
Probably.
the second Alan, because he only does 4 or 5 links every minute.
every day.
The man has no life, I swear. Okay, here
Yeah,
we
that looks
are.
familiar.
We have pictures, and we have
Excellent.
insights, Dibble,
Basic
and the
09.
tour guide. We have both
Yeah.
of these. We've
Didn't
all
he say-
read both of these.
Didn't he say he had like
much.
4 different versions of the Peter Dibble book? Like 4 different editions?
Could be. Mine isn't like that. I don't see it right now, but yeah, there must be multiple
Yeah.
prints. OS 9 and Basic 09, Microware and Motorola, so you guys better stay away.
No, those look like OS 9000.
Known 1000.
That's the
And not the-
68,000 version.
Yeah, that's the Intel version, isn't it?
Ah, okay.
The one that runs on
i86.
x86.
Yeah.
The catalog. I have one of those. I wanted everything in that catalog. I got like 2 things. Now, CDI. I got nothing from CDI. I mean, Philips kind of dropped the ball on that one.
I think, did we start there already? OS 9 and
Yeah, I
10?
think we've come around.
No, there we go. That's
Tour
you.
guide. Oh, yeah. 2 tour guides and
pocket.
the insights. Now, the insights books, these are hot. They will, whatever you don't know, they will teach you.
Have all the stuff you need to know, huh?
I find it interesting that with each edition it gets thicker and thicker.
Yes, it does.
Well, over time, things grow. Feature creep is a thing.
That was the point, yeah.
I recognize
then,
that.
this ain't nothing to do with OS 9. And then, of course, the tour guide. This is where I first figured out OS 9 was cool. I got this book from Radio Shack, and it made me see a lot of things that I didn't see from the
That's
OS9 manual.
It's that guy with a cigar and a Mercedes driving along.
Yeah, that didn't
imagery.
really pan out, but otherwise it was pretty good.
Charles Tandy, perhaps?
Yeah, maybe so. Mr. Tandy driving along. Yeah, he's doing 80 and he's still got another,
40 to
80
go. 80 to go. Okay. Oh,
Wow.
interesting. That's the German one.
So he's been and hardcover in German. That was probably a $50 book or whatever Deutschmarks it took, right?
Yep, Deutschmarks.
Oh, and signed. So I had some more to that. Had a couple 0 Deutschmarks on that. I've never seen this.
Primer.
This is cool. I've never seen it. Never heard of it. And then we're back to the catalog.
Yeah.
Which everyone had.
Wall Street Journal.
So Curtis notes that Alan has both the Radio Shack and non-Radio Shack Basic 09 books. Does anybody know if was it the same text, just one was branded Radio Shack?
Was it the same author? Good question.
The non-Radio Shack Basic 09 book, there's one of them that was from Microware itself for the Dragon. And it had more example Basic 09 programs at the end of it.
Hey, Rick,
and here's
Curtis said that the OS 9000 was for the x86 as well as Spark and the 68000.
Yes, it was written in C, so it was processor
portable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
portable. Yeah.
Right.
And then here's the original. Motorola buys a little bit of Microware to get into OS 9.
That's
As I read it.
Good way to help keep encouraging them to do stuff. So.
This came up on Facebook recently. Why didn't Motorola buy Microware? Well, they kind of did. It looks like they gave them some
invested
money
in it at least,
and got them. Yeah. So Basic 09 turned into OS 9, which turned into the gimmicks and.
But you got to have an OS in order to sell your hardware. So.
Right, Basic isn't going to sell your hardware. You can get that from Microware. What else? We know not what's coming, folks. I don't even know what Ariel is. I've never heard of it.
TA1.
The D2 upgrade is DA1. Okay. Well.
Probably important.
Motorola EV. Oh, cool.
So it's a hardware.
So this evaluation kit you could buy, which was pretty much like the flop the lights on the Altar, its limit, but then the upgrade turns it into an actual terminal computer.
Sounds like this kit was like the Kim 1 from MOS Technologies. It was basically a CPU demonstrator.
We've made our demonstrator into an actual computer that you can terminal into.
That would be cool.
That's.
It mentions the RT68 ROM there as well. RT68 has been surfacing in the past few months. Some of that's coming out and being archived things, and it's very early Microware goodness.
Nice.
All
so
those
this
development systems.
This is worth diving into, and bunch wires. 1977 bod wires. So this is going to be interesting.
That just looks straight up like artwork.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just
could be.
You draw
so
the box.
Curtis, Curtis says that this is from pre-OS 9 Microware, the RT68 operating system for the 6800. So this is the predecessor to OS 9.
Right. So here's your terminal board. So you've got the timer, the receiver driver. This is pretty much to get keyboard onto your development board. So yeah, this is early stuff I would have latched onto in a heartbeat. See the
nowadays
1489, 1488. These are serial receiver drivers. So yeah, you went from flip panel switches and maybe a hex pad to an actual keyboard.
Yeah, and you can type in at all of 50 baud. And
Yeah.
then you have to start figuring it out so that you could change the clock to get up to that big magic 300. Ooh, smoking.
Got to start somewhere.
Ultra C. Now we've jumped forward quite a bit.
Daddy Burrito. At least they're not vacuum tubes, right? Hey, nothing
Right.
against tubes, especially as a musician. Love
Right.
tube amps.
They're just big. B-I-G big.
And lots of heat and power. Any more slides here?
Yeah, we have Ultra C, which was like the end of microwear. This is like the beginning to the end, because Ultra
Right.
C was the C that fixed everything in terms of OS 9.
One C to rule them all.
And then we're back to the beginning. So yeah, Ultra C was sort of the development end of the line. It was cool. It's an ANSI-C, a valid compiler in the modern day, written on OS 9, the ancient old crusty thing from the dead and dying Motorola. So yeah.
Did you have the tab for the Radio Shack brand stuff?
What is next up?
Yeah, you might close the pictures here and see if you can see it in the list of things.
Here, we'll just
X in the upper left corner should close your picture view.
this is the tab I have left to show.
Okay.
Okay, if it would go there. No, this is what was after the George Jansen, Alan Huffman, Mauricio. Oh, my this is not anywhere near where we're at. Okay, I'm
That's Radio
sorry.
Shack brand stuff.
Let's see. We did this.
That's the next one story. That's the one after.
Okay, so let me step back. Where are we at in the?
You just finished Alan Huffman, so we have not yet reviewed the Brazilian
Nice,
Black
yeah.
Beauty.
Okay. Well, we can move on with that. There is one other story from Alan. He had contacted Radio Shack, the current holder of the Radio Shack brand info, to find out about what the status of stuff is. So,
Okay, that was. Oh, come on, mouse move. My mouse doesn't like my fake wood grain desktop.
you need a mouse pad.
Indeed.
Okay, pick a tab and we'll go with the story. Got three
Well,
more.
We're trying to get to the one that you were asking about.
That's okay.
Radio Shack
There it is.
Today.
That could, yeah, okay. Radio Shack Today. That
Yep,
sounds
that's
about
one.
right.
Which you know, Unicommer has nothing to do with anything.
So, what was their response? It says he got some sort of response from him, like a letter. Or
Well,
something.
basically, they're saying anything before May 23 has nothing to do with us, and otherwise, we're starting over.
Okay. I guess it means they deny any knowledge of anything previous.
Right. We have no independent recollection of anything that's been done before we bought the company, which I
Okay,
guess is
cool.
a perfectly logical thing
Oh, way to go.
to. Right.
Deny all existence or knowledge of anything previous.
Yes, we didn't live back then.
Okay.
Then why they buy it to begin with?
Well, because they want to be something now. It's
That's
not the
because it
thing
has-
they used to be.
It has brand name recognition with people. Buying
Well,
into that.
I could see wanting to make Radio Shack into an electronic hobbyist store again instead of just a cell phone mini Best Buy.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
could see doing
Or
that.
Bitcoin
If someone wants to
operation.
do that, I'm behind them. I'll go buy stuff.
But where's their website?
RadioShack.com.
That hasn't worked the last few times I've tried it. But I haven't tried it lately.
Works for me.
Why don't,
Okay.
why don't you plug that in? See what you get. RadioShack.com there, Rick.
Okay, here we go. Let's give it a whirl.
Just to see what's there today.
Everyone do it at once so we can crash their website.
Yeah, maybe we can crash their crappy web server, which is a 486 in some guy's bedroom.
Yeah, that looks like a pretty-
It's still just crap.
Yep.
That's sad.
No, they got
Do they-
turntables.
But do they have
Oh
solder?
yeah, they have Crosley's and yeah, every other cheap.
They have Radio
It's the
Shack
mini
branded
Best Buy.
batteries.
It's a mini Best Buy again. That's gonna die.
This is more like a sharper image.
Yeah.
Well, they don't have anything cool though. They've just got regular stuff.
They don't have any solder or
Right, there's no hobbyist parts or anything. Travel, chargers, batteries, home and off. Yeah, there's nothing, no hobbyist stuff at all.
Yep. Still just
Oh, well,
still
that's
just a
sad.
consumer electronics thing.
Yeah.
Just another
Okay.
respin.
Okay,
Oh, well.
so Mauricio Mate has released a new version of the CP400 Brazilian Black Beauty joystick. This version is slightly larger, has 4 buttons. I believe they're all function as a single button on the regular joystick, but allows the player to choose left, right-handed, or top button, whatever's more comfortable. Facebook link, those look pretty nice. Must be 3D printed.
Yeah.
I thought
I
they
like
were
it.
quite pretty.
And it doesn't look like a CP400 to me.
Uh,
Oh well. Anyway, cool if there's options. And do you know if he's selling these or if they're like designs been uploaded, you can download and build your own, or what's the story?
I believe you get them from Mauricio.
Okay.
I believe Erico has some on the way, or they've finally arrived.
Okay, we'll have to get him on here and show him off. Okay. Did you want to go through those photos quickly?
We have photos to go.
There's only 3, I think, right?
Oh, and there's
video.
noise. I like all the buttons.
Clicky, nice.
Every 2-button joystick should have 4 buttons.
Clicky, nice.
It's left,
There's
it's
another
right.
picture there. Yeah.
Do whatever you want.
That was the last one, I think. So. Okay.
There's the stick from the front. Yeah.
Is that
Oh, and he's got a
stick
ball adapter
to go on top. That's nice too. Next. I think there's one other picture.
Same thing,
just
with
more
the
the same.
ball on
Yeah.
it.
Okay, got it.
That's
Okay.
cool. I like it.
Okay, we're done with that tab. Okay,
Oh, we're
next
just gonna fly
is-
into a new screen. Here we go.
yeah, there we go. Marco Splendetti announced the official release of UG Basic 1.17.1, cross-platform open source isomorphic basic compiler. And you can download and build this yourself. You can get the pre-built binaries. There is an IDE if you're using Windows. Otherwise, it's all command line. Essentially, this is a front end that then uses one of 3 different assemblers for the back end. Back end being one for the 6809, one for the 6502, and one for the Z80. And I believe that the 6809 backend is 6C's compiler, ASM 6809. CC65, which is common for Commodore and Apple people to use for their stuff, and then Z88, I think is the CPM Z80 based assembler. So multiple platforms, lots of old 8-bit computers, and pretty common language. You can, if you stick to the common commands, you can cross compile for other systems. So anyway, I've been following this long. I haven't rebuilt it recently, but has too many things it doesn't like to run under Ubuntu 20.04. I've got to upgrade. So anyway, Rick, or sorry, Alan, you got any comments on UG Basic?
Oh, that's not it.
Yeah, there's a 10-line basic program contest going on.
Right, the contest, yeah.
And there's been we showed the clam game that Erico put together in 10 lines last week. This week, MarkO released Dojo Float on UG Basic for FujiNet. And the idea is a multiplayer cross-platform game, and he's looking for people that have a FujiNet that can test Dojo Float on that, so he can validate that the UG Basic Dojo libraries are talking over FujiNet from real hardware correctly. It is working from a virtual FujiNet over Becker port and DriveWire type emulation,
So
But,
which platforms are they looking for? Apple,
the
Commodore,
HDB
CoCo?
DOS one, I believe.
Okay. Okay. So he's looking for specifically CoCo FujiNet at the moment.
Yeah. So
Okay.
if you go to the itch.io page for MarkO, it's a spotless 1975.
Mhm.
The Dojo Float link will be up there. And when you look, you'll see there's Atari versions and there's CoCo versions. And the CoCo versions, a couple of them list unverified. So that's what he's looking for, is somebody that can verify those physical ones work. So lots going on in Microgames Basic.
Yeah, he is definitely a real go-getter. I just constant updates on stuff. Looking to see if I can find his itch.io page quickly.
And he's actually on GitHub. He's actually hidden his activity because I think it makes other people feel bad.
Of course. I'm doing a release a month. He's doing 3 releases a day.
Yeah.
Okay, I found his itch.io page.
Out of units on the reporter. I'm not sure what, but yeah, that guy just codes along.
Okay, I found his itch.io page. I'll post a link here. Okay, so
And there's lots of other UG Basic example code, and most of them are backed by GitHub repos. So if you look for github.com/spotlessmind1975, you can find the sources if you want to dig into them for examples or rebuild them yourself.
Nice.
Okay, I think we're done with that one. We've got, I believe, one more story. And that is, the right page up here.
The
Craig
computer.
Anello posted a video on Facebook, 6809, 6309, 6800 assembly language group from his Pugputer. A single board 6309 base computer has been working on that uses the V9957 chip, V9957. Okay, I've heard of the 58, the 38, haven't heard of that one. Oh, it could be like a PAL version, 9957 maybe. Scrolling graphics captured from his actual computer, no emulators. Also redraws every pixel every 8th frame, so no hardware scrolling registers.
Nice.
Does that sound right, Alan, that the V9957 might be
Yeah,
the
it
PAL
probably
version
is.
of the 9958?
Yeah, it's like a PAL version or one of the other TV standards versions of the same
Right.
chip used in the MSX.
Right.
So the upshot is, with folks like Strick and Captain Kirchhoff and everybody's just, you can plug everything into a 6809 and make it better.
Right?
Yeah, I think I'm running the video right now that he's showing of that.
Oh, someone switched to him because I don't have it.
Okay, hang on.
This is on this.
Hey, they
board
finally
he's doing?
hooked the SID up to a 6809. Soon we will run out of chips to hook up, and it will just be, now we need OS 9 drivers.
You want
Right.
Patrick stop sharing? So,
I'm not sharing.
Well, he's not sharing. I just
Yeah,
have
that's
to
right.
find him in the little thumbnail on the
Unpin
bottom.
him. Yep, unpin
Oh,
him.
that is sweet.
That's
Yep.
beautiful. 8-pixel movement, it sounds like.
That's pretty smooth, I gotta say.
That's nice when you got hardware to help you get stuff done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's,
see?
and he's apparently, here's the other thing. He's not using, let's see. Now smooth scroll after the 6309 is redrawing every pixel of every 8th frame in one of the VDP's low-res bitmaps mode. Let's see.
Yeah, he's making the border jumpy instead of the visible screen jumpy.
Right,
And you can
right.
Which
see
is
it.
a great trick. I never thought of that. That's
Every 8th frame. I don't think there's
Probably
a
it
way
looks
around that.
smoother on his actual screen.
Yep.
The camera.
He's
camera
doing it
capture
by
probably-
tiles, I think.
Yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
yeah, but he's stepping his tiles in a weird way.
Right, but
Right,
This is
and
cool.
The
This
way
is
to do
absolutely.
that on those chips, this is what I'm experimenting with on that Motorino game board, because the chip on that is an ancestor of the MSX chip. And what it does is it has big tables of pointers that you put into the video RAM, which is on the other side of the video chip. And so then the video chip just does its whole thing, reading the RAM off of its own bus just for video.
Doing
And
what it do.
all you're doing is sending commands to the video chip to mess with pointers,
Mess
which
with
they call
pointers.
names.
And that's how it's so quick.
Nice.
Isn't it
Dude.
nice having hardware to help you?
As far as I can tell, what he's doing here, he's using a little bit of hardware scroll to do a pixel shift, but he's redrawing the entire frame every 8th frame. He's not using tile graphics.
Well, right. He's just letting the borders go wonky as he shifts his tiles, which
No,
is
he's not
fine.
using- he's not using
I
tiles.
would much rather ignore the borders.
Yep. And then
have
the other thing
smooth-
you can do is you can use a border mask over that, so you hide that artifacting right there.
Right.
Put a frame on it. Yeah.
But I gotta reiterate what he's saying here. The 6309 is redrawing every pixel of every 8th frame in one of the VDP's low-res bitmap modes. He's not
Okay.
using tiles.
That's
Okay.
wild.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the code to see how that's being managed, because a
So
lot of
there's
what you do with these display processors like this is you manage lists and you manage a memory map that's just for the video. So,
So
he's
this-
doing some really funky stuff in there.
So this is like an external texture that's going on the.
What I think he's doing here, if I'm seeing this right, is he's using a hardware like horizontal scroll-ish thing, like offsetting the display area, which I think is something that the SID can do as well, or not the SID, the VIC can do as well. But you take it and you offset it. You can offset it up to 8 pixels, and then once you've reached your maximum X offset, you blitter in or you switch out the page that it's looking at to the next frame. So yeah,
So page
every
flip every 8 scroll points.
right, you page flip every 8 scroll points, and you reset your offset register. So he's got 8 pixels of offset in the X direction. He draws his n plus 8th frame. Once he reaches 8 bits or 8 as the shifting, he page flips, zeroes it out, and that's why you're seeing a jump like that.
Border snaps back, and then you have another 8 pixels.
Yep, and you have another 8 pixels. You can move it. So that's very, very helpful for like if you're doing the side scrolling type of a thing, and you have hardware sprites, because now the hardware sprites exist independently of the background back and forth shift. Or something like that.
Yeah, the way that these processors work is by bit planes, and the background bit planes are behind the sprite planes. So yeah, and with this, you can have the sprites move with or independent of the background shifts.
Yeah.
But
So if you don't,
they'll draw over it.
So if you don't move your sprite, it's cruising forward.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
You know
there's
what?
transparency layers and some other stuff that's going on there. So you can get like sprites that look like the background that can float over your actual sprite planes. So you use your highest priority sprites to be foreground scroll over your sprites over the background, because you're managing it all in layers within the memory. It's a really cool little processor, and there's some very interesting stuff that goes on with those little VDPs. And I have a newfound understanding of what MSX was doing in there with all those graphics.
What processor speed is he running his 6309 at? Running at
He
3
didn't
megahertz?
say. He didn't say. So
Yeah,
I
I
would
was
have
looking through his posts here to see, but yeah. Well, again, a lot of the graphic lifting has been put onto the 99, 30, 58, 57. So
and that's doing your heavy lifting. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the reasons. The only reason that the CoCo, I maintain, the only reason that CoCo didn't take off, in my opinion, is because they didn't have the sound and graphics capabilities of some of the competitors.
if they added like a 9958 and a really decent, like the AY chip or whatever, I think it could have really been a competitor against the Atari and Amiga stuff.
Yeah, but the trick was they got that bulk deal from Motorola. We go
Yeah.
back to that old adage. Why did Tandy do that? Because it was cheaper.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, yeah, the IBM was putting pressure on. So.
Yep.
Okay, have we talked this one enough? Guess it's time to move on. So, Rick, are you good for MC10 news, or we want to move?
I've already got it up.
Oh.
Yep, we're there.
Okay.
Hang on, I got to flip screens. Back to
Why
Rick.
is my phone blowing up?
Incoming missile alert.
Yeah, I guess there's a missile coming in. I'm going to answer it and end it. There.
Are you worried about your car warranty?
Exactly.
Okay. Thank you for being ready to go, Henry.
Yep.
I will go with Rick for the next little bit though. So I'll keep you in mind.
No problem.
Right.
Who do I highlight?
Go
We
with
got
Rick.
Rick highlighted, so it's good.
Rick. Okay.
Yep. Go with Rick. I already recruited him on board. I forgot I could have got Henry to do this too. So
I got all these sticking tabs loaded. I gotta play them now.
There you go.
Okay, so that's the end of the CoCo 123 news, and now we're going to move on to the MC10 news. And this appears to be Ron Klein and the Cocoa Pie project. Looks like it says he's focusing on the MC10 this time around. XRoar support for the MC10. It's working with MC10 Basic Compiler by Greg Dion, which has resulted in Ron adding a new feature to compile MC10 Basic programs and launching them automatically in either XRoar or MAME. There's a bug in both with compiled programs. It works fine on real hardware, but as Ron mentions, Kieran has already had a test build of XRoar to fix the issue, and he is contacting Tim Linder to get the same fixes done in MAME. It should be noted that the compiler only does regular MC10 Basic, not MCX Basic. One other thing Ron has added is the ability to send programs from the CoCo Pi to the real MC10 through the cassette cable. So for those of you who do not know what the CoCo Pi is, Ron Klein has basically taken a Raspberry Pi and loaded up basically MAME and XRoar on it, and basically is giving you a emulator platform that's kind of like out of the box, burn the image, away you go on a Raspberry Pi. And so you can get all that Dragon and CoCo goodness without jumping through a lot of hoops. He does all the heavy lifting, which is really great. Sets a lot of stuff up, and I know he supports things. I've had discussions with him before about the GCC6809 patch and the other various weird side tools that are used for doing stuff. And so he packaged a lot of stuff in there. Also, I know he is transitioning kind of to build scripts so that you can do your own build or pieces of it on a standalone instead of doing it on a Raspberry Pi. Do it on a modern Linux system and be able to build stuff as well. So that's been kind of something people are interested in, being able to set up a CoCo Pi environment without actually having a complete image they have to burn and set up. So any comments? 60 says, I don't remember this at all. It's called Old Age, 60. Old age. Keeps coming at you.
You did it, man. You'll remember it someday.
Anyway, you can find us all at coco-pi.com. And again, in our show notes on the Color Computer Discord. And Ron is a really nice guy. I've had many conversations with him over the years. And hopefully he'll be at CoCoFEST again this year, and you can see him in person. Okay, we have two Dragon 3264. So in case you didn't all know, there is actually a Dragon site called the World of Dragon Archive that you can join. Good thing to do. There's lots of publications they have there in PDFs, manuals, and games, and of course, lots of conversation in the forums. So Dragon people are really friendly and nice, and they're close cousins of ours. So we keep them close and like to shine light on them wherever we can. Anyway, it appears that Rob CFG and William Athing have started a thread on the World of Dragon forum to talk about their FujiNet for Dragon project. William was on our show last week. If you want to zip back and see their little talk with him about what's going on with the version 4 on the color computer. But like I said, they're working on getting the Dragon up to speed as well. This appears to be a cartridge with the ESP32 and a ROM on it to get things up and going for the Dragon. Do remember the Dragon does have built-in parallel port, which gives it a bunch of I/O. At least the Dragon 32 and the 64 does as well. Tano 64. I think they're tackling doing things a little bit differently with the Dragon, but still it's going to be the same general setup. I would assume that the latest version of the FujiNet for CoCo will also work on the Dragon being direct mapped through the cartridge port. Anyway, it's the only photo they have there, Rick.
Yeah, that seems to be the size of it.
Again, you'll want to go to the archive.worldofdragon.org and join the forum. It's really cool. Let's see. The second story we have is Julian Brown. Keys of the Wizard. That is the first story of the game news.
Let's try Julian Brown again here. I may have lost a tab. If you only have 32 gigs in Windows, you can't really get along. You've got to have more RAM than that.
And that's why I activate swap space. Woohoo!
Yeah, I'll have it for you next Tuesday.
Okay, Julian Brown. He was in the chat earlier. I greeted him when you started up. He is a hardware CoCo guy. Very nice. I actually did a nice show with him a year ago on the Virtual Fest in January or February it was. And he did a really nice presentation, way more than I expected. He had PowerPoints and everything. I was totally blown away. But anyway, really nice chatting with him and really nice seeing the stuff he's got going. So Julian Brown has posted some pictures of his updated Dragon ATX boards. These are basically a redoing of the Dragon board, but in a form factor for ATX, power supply, and all that stuff. So you'll have basically a modern version of the Dragon, which if you want to keep using real hardware, this is one way to go about it. Anyway, this is a Facebook group. There is a Dragon 32 Facebook group and Dragon 3264. You should join. I have a Tano Dragon. I joined because, well, I like to know what's going on. Anyway, I believe that is all the Dragon news we have. And we're now on to the Game On news. How are we doing for time, Mark B?
Oh, the sun's still up.
17:05 Eastern. We're doing fine.
Okay, yeah, looks like we're 3 hours in. Okay, yep. 3 hours in.
Yep, we're at three hours.
Excellent. Okay, so our final segment here is on the Game On news. By the way, we have 9 stories, and we'll be blazing through these. So this appears, Microdeal, of course, is a British company, Dragon Software primarily, but they also would redo Tandy games or color computer games as well, and vice versa. So Renya in Blue did a part 3 of their gameplay video review of real-time partially randomized text adventures. This is Keys of the Wizard. This one covers playing at the higher difficulty levels and some bugs that were found. Anyway, that's what the cassette looks like. Is this just a blog post? Are there any other pictures, Rick, or video or anything, gameplay or anything like that? Looks like some mapping. What's the screens look like? Looks like they're playthrough maps and stuff as they're going along. That's always handy. Get an idea of what things look like. Okay, just lots of still shots, text of what's going on. If you're interested in this type of game, this might be something interesting to go look at. Okay, nothing else really to look at, so let's go on to the next one. Jim Gary, you've heard of this guy, has ported Hex War. It's a 2-player strategy game that originally appeared in the July 1986 issue of Compute magazine. Written by Todd Heimrach for the IBM PC Junior. It has 5 variations to play to choose from. So this is the MC10 version. And again, that's only 1 game this week. Boy, he is slacking today. Video, want to roll a little of that, see what it looks like? Any audio, muted, didn't share? We love Jim Gary. He keeps the MC10 filled with the latest games. David Ladd has offered to get on and talk about floppy drives for running short of material. We'll keep you in the wings, David. Okay, well, I guess let's see what the gameplay looks like. I don't know if I'd get into that or not, but you know. Okay, I'd say let's move on to the next game. Let's see, Retro Adventures podcast released episode 18 this week. The podcast is about classic text adventure games, and this episode covers, amongst other things, Colexio Island from Mark Data Products. That's 5 minutes in, by the way. And they're talking about the Dragon 32 as well, with special guest Ian Lee. I think we've actually played Colexio Island on the Game On Challenge, haven't we? I don't think you shared sound there. The 5 minute mark is where they jump into the stuff about Colexio Island. Colexio Island. Need to read better. Okay, well, there's no audio, nothing much to see. This looks to be a podcast, so there's nothing really to see here. Okay, Rick, let's move on to the next one. Okay, back to the World of Dragon archive. Pierre Surratt has released AGD Games Pack number 65, which has 4 of the newest AGD engine games from 2023 and 2024 for the CoCo and Dragon. This package has Ghostly Capers, the Hairy Fly, Hedgehogs 2, Space Thunder DX. Screenshots and downloads of the World of Dragon forum you can get, and those with the Super Sprite FM Plus board has also released the NP11 pack to use the enhanced hardware for that upgrade. That includes 4 games of Funky Fungus Reloaded World 2, Kai Cadet 3, Sophia 2 Part 2, and Toofy in Fanland. Anyway, again, World of Dragon archive, you can go check these out and download the stuff if you have the hardware. And there's the continuing videos, so you get to see the screenshots. Most of these are ports from, I think it's a Spectrum, isn't it?
Yes.
Sinclair Spectrum?
It's from the Spectrum.
This has got to be a Spectrum. Look at the color plan.
Curtis says that's the wrong pack being shown.
Well, this was the NP11 pack here. There was also AGD pack 65, which is they're all black and white.
Okay.
But the main emulator does emulate the Super Sprite FM board, so you can play these in emulation.
Cool. If you can figure out how to get MAME installed.
Oh,
not for the faint of heart.
Oh, let's not get into all that.
I gotta say something here. If you don't try to install it as a system package and run it from its own directory, it's really not bad.
I want to see the tutorial in my inbox by next Saturday.
I've got the video coming up out on Friday.
Oh, okay, cool.
Thank you, Henry.
Okay, that's
Break Keys YouTube channel. We will post links coming up on Friday.
All right.
Thank you, Henry.
Fix it all.
Okay, what is this?
I don't know what this is.
This is awesome. Downland on the 7800.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of that. It's quite nice.
Cock here, and I got a.
It's not on our news notes, but this sounds interesting.
Downland was a Donkey Kong style game. Plays a little bit slow, and I wish there was a save feature, but
well, it's like 4.5. That's Downland, though.
Often revisit to.
It is.
You know, it was an early success for the color computer line. I wish there was more games like this in the library. And this is a game that I often go back and play, even though I haven't gotten through all 10.
Which is unusual. Downland is one of those games
that has a slower timer countdown
that non-CoCo people know about.
A max of 6 acid drops on all levels. Hard mode has 8 acid drops on the levels, and some ropes have some adjacent drops that are close enough.
That is a nicely done port.
Yeah, it is. There has been a lot of Downland love lately.
So
Looping has a player go back to Chamber
Yep.
0 after successfully completing
Now,
Chamber
good games
9,
are always worthwhile.
as that was done
Right?
in the original game.
Even if they're
Additionally,
ours.
the game difficulty mode increases by
Yep.
one level with each loop completed to
Let's
a
see,
max of
what else have we
par.
got here? Downland. Oh, a secondary link. From David Ladd. I wonder who that guy is.
Oh, again, this was not in our news, but definitely it's related to the CoCo, so it was worth looking into. Okay, we back on track here.
I don't know. Let me just open
So
up.
where are we at? Next thing.
Let me open a tab and open the
sorry.
new thing.
David Ladd is the one that pointed out the Atari 7800 one. So, okay, cool. That was David Ladd. Okay, sorry, we are on task here. So Floyd Wrestler up next. Screenshots for the upcoming Gem Quest version 2.
Okay, we can get there.
Gem Quest 2
We do
there. It
have-
looks like it right there.
We do have screenshots.
Okay. So we had Floyd on, what, two weeks ago for the game when we played it, the Gem Quest, and he did some actual fixes and submitted them during the actual Game On Challenge. And so it looks like he's working on a new version of it to have out there. So,
Okay, so here's basically the new look.
we need to tell George Phillips there that, hey, here's somebody else that's resurrecting an old game. So should throw his hat in the ring and bring us something new.
I'm not the only one.
That is Dungeons of Daggeroth.
Okay, Space War is what I have, so I'm going to do Space War.
Okay, so this is Jim Jewett, right? So he popped up recently on Facebook, and he had a bunch of games back in the day. I've been following along his postings, and he's doing some updates and clarifications on stuff. It's really nice to see him pulling the stuff out, joining the community, and sharing his stuff again. Anyway, Jim, another Space War update, added a step-by-step guide for navigating the mission, and added a command to the game. Facebook group. Hopefully he's pushing these up to the Color Computer Archive. If not, I will be chatting with him about that and going from there. Really nice guy.
You'll
Say
be
again?
chatting with him, right?
Chatting, yes.
In quotes.
Chatting. In chat, yes.
In quotes.
Hey, we want to make sure that, the stuff gets widely saved. So anyway, thank you, Jim, for joining the community again and bringing your stuff out, showing us all the stuff you worked on. Any screenshots or anything? Just, I guess there's a few screenshots, but that's it. No.
I don't really see anything here.
Currently, you
Just
can download his stuff from Facebook. He has different posts that have different versions of his stuff. And like I said, we'll make sure that those get on the archive as well so other people can have access to them. Because not everybody has a Facebook account, and I can't blame you.
Exactly.
Okay, looks like we got two more stories left. For those who didn't catch it in the Game On Challenge Discord channel, there's a patched version of Boris the Bold to work on 6309 machines, as well as the 6809.
Right.
And that's the last story there. That was from Curtis, by the way. So again, the CoCo Discord, Game On Challenge channel, get the patched Boris. Hopefully they get pushed back to the archive as well. And the last Game On is 10-minute video on Dungeons of Daggeroth. So this would be a cool game to have on other platforms and a network version too.
Indeed.
One can dream.
Well, it's getting closer. We're getting the network infrastructure in place. Now we just got to patch the dickens out of this thing.
Yep.
Yeah, might take a few bytes change.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
it's
these
not going to
guys-
fit in 8K.
Yeah, no, and that was if I recall some of the conversations, that was one of the big things. Is like the limitation to 8K cut down so much of the potential of the game.
Indeed. But they got this done. I mean,
Yeah,
props for that. I mean, we have distance, we have shadows.
and it's iconic not just in the CoCo community, but in the retro gaming community at large.
It was one of the first games that was this first person type of view. And as
Right,
people
this-
point out,
this
the
is-
heartbeat, it
Yeah.
affects you.
It's visceral, yeah. You're I need to calm down. It's
David Ladd said, move forward some and you will see the 7800 version. I think we did.
Yeah, we did see the 7800 version.
Okay, good. Curtis also wanted to notice that he had 5 other stories before his computer died. So unfortunately, we'll be keeping those for next week.
Indeed we will. This is what I always saw. This guy, and then this guy, and then this guy.
Curtis also said that both Downland and Daggeroth were cut short to fit in 8K. Yeah, if you had 16K, you could imagine the stuff you could do.
Well, you can think these 2 games were pretty much the ultimate of their era if they just give them another, 8K RAM.
Yeah.
So in this concept, it became Wolfenstein and then Doom.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we couldn't spare the 8K to expand on this.
Why did Candy do that?
Because it was cheaper.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. Never mind. Anyway, yeah, this is. I spent way too much time in Downland and Daggeroth. I'm just a DK guy. There goes that.
So, do we need to invite David Ladd on to give us 45 minutes of floppy talk to help pad out our time?
No.
Sure, I can take a little
Only
nap
outro.
Cook some food.
So are we done with the news?
I think we're done with the news. That's all we have this week. There's some other stories that got lost on the cutting room floor, but we'll pick those up next week. So
you've got a week to go out and make more news.
There'll be plenty.
Otherwise, we're gonna, yeah.
All right, and so the burning question on everybody's mind is, Wingnut, did you get any fish?
Indeed. Show the cooler.
Okay, well, I have to post it on like an off-topic chat room because I'm currently in transit, but yeah, I can do that.
He got some fish, okay.
Sweet, then it's good.
I'm sorry, what'd you say, yes or no? Yes, okay,
You did.
cool.
And there's going to be a CoCo fishing game come out of this too, right?
Right, and a fish fry tonight, so it's all good.
Bassmaster.
Maybe I could write a timer on a CoCo to let me know when the fish is done while I'm in the basement. That's a quick, easy program to do.
Put it on FujiNet so everybody will know where it is.
Hey, there you go.
All right.
Oh, yeah, we're
FujiNet
not quite
Fish
there.
Finder.
Oh, Fuji fish. Yeah, I like that.
All right, so one more step to do.
This concludes another episode of the CoCoNation, the world's leading live interactive talk show featuring the Tandy Color Computer. For all things the CoCoNation, visit us on the web at thecoconation.com. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to show@thecoconation.com. The CoCoNation show would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. The CoCoNation theme song, copyright 2022, D. Bruce Moore, mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. The CoCoNation is over. Join us on the CoCo Discord server. CoCo forever.
Zoom decided
Good day for
to
that.
zero.
We're back.
We're back.
We're
So
back.
that
sorry.
was,
Oh,
four-
dang.
Oops.
So does that make 4 computer failures for today?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
404.
They're talking about my microphone quit working partway through the show, and I hadn't been able to say anything.
Well, no, you said many things. We just don't know what they were.
Exactly.
So we had Kevin Holloway with some computer problems. Curtis has totally died. Henry's microphone went out. What else happened?
Oh, Stevie showed up.
That's it. We blame Stevie.
I meant that in the nicest way possible.
Wow.
Okay. Well, until next week.
You're safe for 7 days.
That's right.
Right. You're good for a little
Go
while
out
longer.
and make CoCo happen.
Yes, make some more news for us to report on.
Join us on the Discord.
Yep.
All right. And then don't forget Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern,
Game
the
On
Game
Challenge.
On Challenge. It looks like we've
Sounds
lost.
good.
We lost. Where is he? No, we lost Ken anyway. So
Is 405 bad?
I don't know.
They're all client side errors, so it doesn't. There doesn't.
Well,
really
no,
matter that much.
405, isn't that a nice little small block?
Oh no.
Wrong 405.
409 was a
freeway
Chevy.
in California.
I mean, we
Method
could
not
all.
allowed.
Bad.
Well,
So
we've
we'll
got to remember
Method
though,
not
okay,
allowed. Oh, we fit right in there.
Hey, but we got to be careful. We got to be careful because coming up is 418, and 418 is I'm a teapot.
What about
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Everyone
we're
get a
doing that.
teapot.
And then comes 420.
Right.
Oh,
Everybody take a break.
The material for that. Yeah.
Meet you
All
outside.
right.
Out back.
426.
Till next
is me.
week.
All
Or
right.
next week.
Later, folks.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.